Do you know what? I'm not that impressed with Eastern State Penitentiary because I've been to Ohio State Reformatory. Like, it's my favorite building and favorite thing in the whole entire world. I love it. I would move in there, I think. I would make that my kingdom. I love that building. Like, I want to say I feel like I belong in there, but I don't want to say I'm a prisoner. No, I love it there.
Welcome to another episode of the show. We are your hosts, Colin Peters,
John Rochetter.
Dude, I'm expecting something now. Like, now you're really fucking.
I can't do one for this one.
Why not?
Because I just don't want to, Colin.
I could have thought of like 4.
I know. See,
a guest here.
I know.
You could have been like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" Like,
oh my god!
That like the easiest one just went right over your head.
Oh, you should be replacing me right now.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye.
No, seriously. Well, I'm Jeff Manfred, and
I'm Jenn Harding.
Yay!
Thank you for having me back.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah.
Jen was on our Home Alone episode, and we're happy to have her back for this specialty today. We're going to be talking about not just movies, but movie characters in general, and movie characters specifically in the horror genre. And that is why we are dubbing this the Scream Queens episode.
Woo!
Yay.
Honestly, I feel like this episode was bound to happen no matter what we did, because I feel like women in horror are always the unsung hero. Because if you look at it, everyone always uses this genre as a sexist thing because you usually get the nudity and it's all female. But they always forget that the final girls are always the one who kill the villains.
The nudity ones, that's like if you're a whore, you die.
Exactly, but just in general, I'm saying...
Only the cool, pure people live and kill the bad people.
The critics never paid attention to the rules. They didn't give a shit. Especially since Siskel and Ebert, they famously said on their show that these horror movies are sexist because they pinpoint women as bimbos that have no IQ and they don't know how to survive any situation, and they find themselves getting killed, but they fail to realize that it is a final girl for the reason. They're the ones that outsmart the killers. They're the ones that triumph at the end and they take the menace down. They don't get that. They just see it as just 80s trash with blood and gore everywhere, and it's not art. They don't see it as art at all.
Well, to be fair, Siskel and Ebert need to get girls first to understand girls.
Whoa!
They're probably very bitter about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was bitter about it a couple episodes ago about Silent Night, Deadly Night. That was one. Not to mention their scathing review of Friday the 13th.
Well, I mean, there is some logic behind that, actually, because there was a psychology class that I took in film school about how it was basically described that men are more dominant in the film world and you can't bend the rules. You can't, like, make a woman change a macho guy. Like, I know one example was in Rambo 2. The woman was trying to change Rambo and take him out of the character that he was supposed to be, and then as soon as she did that, like, 30 seconds later, she gets blown away. It's like, you can't do that. And then if the woman becomes the male character, then the male character that's with her has to die because it's just like the way the psychology plays out. Now, I'm on the fence about that because, you know, like how in schools there's like a narrative that's usually pushed for that kind of stuff. And a lot of it's kind of like that David Blaine, like, oh, do you have a family relative that died and there's a K in your name? I feel like, you know, that kind of stuff could be like twisted like that because, you know, if somebody doesn't know psychology all that well, it could be manipulated and people just think it and that's what they feel and that's what they believe, and then it just kind of becomes like a cult. So I'm just saying that maybe that's actually where a lot of this criticism all started. But I mean, it's basic science actually tells us that women are stronger than the men anyway.
High five.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. So I think it's very fitting. I think it's awesome that in horror, the women actually outdo the killer, who is a male most of the time. We've had a few exceptions, which was pretty awesome. But I always enjoyed seeing the women be the hero in horror, more so than the guys in general anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is like a sense of vulnerability that because like women usually are perceived as weak, even though they're really not. It shows like a real sense of strength and triumph and perseverance, and especially in like such a brutal atmosphere, whether it's like so over the top like a Nightmare on Elm Street where it's just like more to the imagination, or like in a Scream where it's more based in reality. It's like, yo, the women coming out and being the hero and kicking ass, and then kind of they live in the sequels more without like a PTSD, even though I think that's where they screw up, is because I'd like to see like where they would go and triumph over that and maybe be more into that. But that's the way my mind goes. Like, as you know from Ninja Turtles, I was talking about sequels that they should have went and they didn't because it was more family friendly and make the money. I think the only time you ever see any of the final girls having PTSD is in Friday 2, where Alice ends up dying right away. And then I remember seeing it in Hatchet 2 and 3 where Danielle Harris's character was still hunting down Victor Crowley, but she could tell that she was just mentally not all there anymore. So it's like, yeah, some movies do it right. Other movies are like, fuck it, let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this trend because it's popular and it's what they all have to be like. Exactly, like if you look at movies like Graduation Day or Final Exam, those are horrible final girls because they're not really strong, they have no characterization, and they just kind of are the final person. That's all it really comes down to. They just so happen to be the final person alive. By luck. By sheer dumb luck, they happen to outsmart the killer by one move, and then that's the end. But then there are those that do characterization correct, like Neve Campbell in Scream, or Jamie Lee Curtis going on the Halloween saga, where they do suffer from PTSD, but they are able to rise above it. Because in Scream 3, Neve Campbell, she's working on like a suicide hotline, and she helps deal with people with emotional trauma. And then you've got Jamie Lee Curtis, who's shooting mannequins out in the woods and training herself to be basically the Sarah Connor of this era.
You know what? They have her character looking like Sarah Connor almost, actually.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
I didn't either. She just said that, but she has that look. Yeah.
Yeah, the ruggedness and just like holding a fucking 38 caliber Magnum in her hand.
You know what, though? In real life, though, like, you're gonna, like, not saying, like, you're gonna have horror movie situations in real life all the time, but you're gonna have more women taking care of themselves, like, the true crime thing. Because, you know, like, I love true crime, and I listen to the podcast all the time, and my husband always makes fun of me, like, they're like, oh, you're paranoid about everything. Well, guess what? That means I'm going to outlive all of you because I know what to look for. But I was listening to one, it was an interview with the My Favorite Murder Girls, and they were saying, like, with women are more likely to listen to the true crime stuff because they're more likely to be victims. So, like, you're basically, it's like you're training yourself almost to know what to look for.
Yeah.
So, I'm ready, people.
It was a common theme. Like, I forget who it was. I think it was Bailey Sarian. She had, like, in one episode that came out recently saying, guys, you need to understand, monsters are not deformed creatures that live among us. They're the good-looking, handsome, suave people that you never expect.
If I die, it's probably because I was attracted to a serial killer. I'm not even gonna lie. My friends joke about it all the time. If I'm attracted to you, you're probably a killer. and we could be watching a movie and you wouldn't even know who the killer is yet. If I'm like, oh, he's cute. Guess what? He's the killer.
He's a murderer.
Yes. That'll be my downfall.
He's got a basement of 30 bodies.
Well, it's also, it falls in line with that ignorance of, like, we don't really get taught that kind of stuff and how to prepare for, like, a true crime event. Even though, in some way, I mean, it's not, like, something that you teach in schools and to kids, but it's almost something that you should because of how, especially because of child abduction, domestic stuff at home. It's like, how do kids really react to if they see that kind of thing? You know, like, that stuff's not taught, even though it's a real serious thing. It's also like how, I think I said it with you, Jeff, when we had our episode, when I talked about, I believe in God, and some people looked at me like I was a little weird when I said, well, because I believe in God, that means I believe in Satan, and I believe in hell, and I want to go there. So, it's like, I need to know, like, what his followers believe. So, like, I'm looking at, like, the rules of the Satan commandments and stuff, and people look at me like, what are you doing that for? And I'm like, well, how do you expect to beat your enemy or stay ahead of the game if you don't know what you're dealing with? Yeah. It's like, hey, if you don't work out or exercise or nothing, and then you say, oh, I'm going to get into the ring with Mike Tyson, it's like, yeah, okay.
Survive 10 seconds.
Oh, if there's a paycheck in it, I will fight Mike Tyson. 10 seconds or not.
That'll pay for your medical bills.
Exactly.
Right.
Unless the rule is you gotta last at least 3 rounds.
Oh my
Was it
god.
The Simpsons when they said
No, I'm thinking about Macho Man Randy Savage. Hey, freak show!
I know. I just thought of The Hangover when he just knocked out Zach. Knocked him right out.
That's probably exactly what would happen.
I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
I'll give him 2 and then. But
you gotta at least make an attempt to throw a haymaker.
But back to the true crime and serial killers. I just recently watched Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer for the first time.
That is a terrifying movie.
But the thing is, it was based on a real serial killer out of Chicago. And I was actually watching it on Last Drive-In, so it's even funnier. Because they're explaining the fact that when they were talking to the director, he was saying that most serial killers, we pass them all the time.
Oh, all the time.
But they're not going to wear like normal clothes. It's going to be something to hide what they are. They're going to drive a shitty car. They're going to wear like janitor's clothes. They're going to be in plain sight hiding. So it's like, yeah, listening to Jen over here going, yeah, I listen to True Crime all the time, so I know what the fuck I'm looking for.
Well, it's like I was telling a bunch of people because I used to work at a quick shop, and I used to work a night shift at a quick shop, and I just said to myself, I'm sure I met a serial killer. And it's like, we probably all have. I mean, hell, I've been to New York City I don't know how many times, so I'm pretty sure I met one just walking across the street and maybe like bumped into my shoulder. Like, the hell
They used to call it Fierce City.
Yeah.
You know what? Though, again, in Ohio, like we were talking earlier, in the wintertime, my son and husband go to this indoor mountain bike park, and it's kind of near that house where, I can't think of his name, the guy that kept the 3 girls in his basement for like, or not basement, but whole house for like 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Not Fidel Castro, but his name was Castro. His last name was Castro. They would drive past that house, and that's one of those things, like, I listen to the true crime, and I'm trying to be cautious all the time. My husband's like, that's not going to happen to you. That's like all, I'm like, it's real stuff. I'm like, how many times, how many years have you drove past that house? There were 3 people locked in that house, unable to get out. Like, you went past that house, and he actually was from Reading.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh,
he was originally from Reading.
I remember that.
Yeah, I didn't know that until
that,
I was reading
remember
a book by 2 of the girls, and then I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think because my cousin lives in Ohio and he talked
Ariel
about it.
Castro.
That's
his name.
it. Yeah. That's right. When you said Reading,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it clicked, and I was like, I remember that. And he like had them as like sex slaves and stuff. It was weird.
That's awful.
And that's somebody that they knew. Like, the 2 of the girls were friends with his daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you wouldn't know. So that's why I always tell my son, I'm like, if like one of your friend's parents ask you for a ride somewhere, like, don't get in that car. I always say, if he ever goes missing, I'm checking the whole block. I don't care if I know you. We're checking your basement.
I mean, holy shit. Exorcist, they had a serial killer on camera. They didn't know who it was until years down the road.
Was he the camera guy or a makeup guy? Like, he wasn't an actor, right? Or
No,
just
he
an
was-
extra?
He was one of the nurse. He was,
What was that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's that letting your guard down. That's also what plays the victim in the horror movies as well. And not only the victims, but the ignorant parents. It's that, oh, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. Even though, like, in something like A Nightmare on Elm Street, where the dad's a cop and the mom was just as guilty, it's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, kid.
Yeah. He's dead. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
This is a safe town. Murder does not exist here. We're in the middle of bumblefuck America.
Which is like the
Because we
perfect-
murdered.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Which
the perfect spot to
Might as well
murder
be a
someone.
breeding ground. That plays on their ignorance. Exactly.
Also, a scream queen does not evolve around just being the hero or the heroine of the movie. It's also just a famous character that you get out of it. Like, it's hard to deny somebody like Pamela Voorhees and say that she's not a scream queen because maybe she might not have been the screamer in the movie, but she caused the screams in the movie.
Okay. Almost
That's a
like
good point.
should we pin down like what the definition of a scream queen actually
Yeah.
is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, she is definitely a scream queen, because that's your final girl is completely different than a scream queen.
Yeah.
Because a scream queen is just the star of a horror movie.
There you go.
Final girl is the one that outlives everybody.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier because, like, for doing a little bit of research on this one, yes, I actually did research for this one.
I didn't have to.
Yeah, John and I were looking at the definition of a scream queen because, like, it didn't I'm like, all right, so I want to pinpoint this down so we at least are talking about all of us are talking about the same subject.
Exactly.
Instead of being like, well.
This is up for debate.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought this?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that.
Listen, we have enough episodes where I'm arguing with everybody, so I figured let's all be on the same page for this.
Yelling and talking. But pretty much the simplest definition is Scream Queen, an actress who has become associated with horror films, either through an appearance in a notable entry in the genre or reoccurring roles in the genre. So they've not just done 1 or 2 horror films, they've done multiple horror films throughout their career. And some people would say, well, it's what they're known for. That's why you get a lot of these famous actress celebrities that are in the documentary In Search of Darkness, which I got to learn a lot more than what I had done before. So there are veterans that have been in this game since the 70s, even the 60s. And coming across, because throughout the internet, there's tons of lists of top 15 Scream Queens of all time, top 10 Scream Queens of all time.
Well, let me guess. Jamie Lee Curtis is always going to be number 1 because she's the most famous.
She was 1.
Yeah, go figure.
Yes. I mean, not really a surprise.
Because if you look at her, she is probably the most mainstream out of horror because she actually went out of horror for a while and then came back.
That's how some of these other ones were, though, too, because I understand you don't want to be attached to a specific genre your entire career. You want to branch out and do other genres, other projects. Maybe you have other passion projects of your own, which I get. So, I want to take a break from this because I don't want to be typecast. So it's understandable.
Look, my ultimate Scream Queen is Neve Campbell, and she's not even a horror fan.
There you go.
I don't even think she originally wanted to be in Scream, right?
But you know what? She's my Scream Queen now, and she'll have to deal with it.
Well, the funny thing is, we
will be friends.
I was like, we were talking about Scream Queens.
We will be friends.
It's like, all right, now you're going to stay in my basement.
I mean, just for the record, she did have a stalker.
Let's put this record. I'm not going to kidnap Neve Campbell. Okay.
Wink, wink. No.
I'm likable. She will like me anyway.
Well, didn't you actually get to meet her?
I did. I did not get to meet her at her table, though, because that was the con that I was working. I was a vendor. So I only got to meet her for a very short time when I got my picture.
Okay.
But she was super sweet. She's so tiny.
I know. Honestly, I did the same thing. I went to go meet her. I was like, all right, I'm not going to pay for a signature. I just wanted to meet her. And I got up to the table.
I would have paid for her signature.
It was one of those moments, already buying, Bruce Campbell's and Ted Raimi's. So I was like, all right, I'll wait till next time. I'll definitely, obviously, going to be a lot longer than these two. But I got up to the table. I'm like, dude, this woman's tiny. I did not expect her to be that small. Because, she has such a big presence. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, well then.
Even if that group photo would have been $1,000, my husband knew right off the bat, there's no way you're telling me no. Because, literally, Scream's my favorite thing in the whole entire world. And then, my first con I ever worked at, which is already a big deal, was a Scream reunion. It's all meant to be. But Skeet, I haven't met Skeet yet because he was doing he couldn't be there because of a Riverdale thing, and then he is not on Riverdale anymore, and I was supposed to meet him last March, and then thanks COVID, I was supposed to meet Skeet and Steven Dorf. My life, I literally could have died a happy person, but yeah, thanks.
Stupid fires.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's already claimed the lives of just thousands of people, and one of them is actually a Scream Queen. In January of 2021, Barbara Shelley, one of the 50s and 60s Scream Queens, one of the original trailblazers, as you could say. She got really a big start with the Hammer horror films, being in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which is the most famous one because Christopher Lee refused to speak any line of dialogue in that movie. That's why he hisses at everybody. Because he hated the script so much, he didn't want to talk. He just wanted to hiss. And she became one of the victims of Dracula.
I'm going to do that when I'm in a bad mood one day, and if I don't feel like talking, I'm just going to hiss all day. The people will definitely leave you alone.
But seriously, yeah, that was a real thing. It's hilarious because watching it again, I'm like, oh my god, he really doesn't want to say anything in this movie. But that, and there was Rasputin the Mad Monk, which also was with Christopher Lee. But she was, I guess, definition of camp horror because she also did Village of the Damned, the original one, The Midwich Cuckoos. That was the book that it was based off of, and then John Carpenter remade it.
Wait, the what?
The book was called The Midwich Cuckoos. That was the book, and then they changed it to Village of the Damned, probably because that didn't sound terrifying.
Hold up. So I was gonna skim over that, not even pay attention to what the fuck just got said. I was like, cool, you probably just messed up. No,
The Bewitched Cuckoos. Look it up. It's a book. It's what Village of the Damned was.
Sounds definitely less threatening.
I know.
That's why they changed it for the better, in my opinion. The meteor crash lands. All the women in the town become pregnant to these platinum blonde children. They all have psychic powers and they kill people. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, just that movie, and then like Shadow of the Cat, The Gorgon, The Secret of Blood Island. She was in a ton of these campy horror films, but she was a scream queen. But she liked the idea of trying to be one of those actresses that was being typecast, and she did kind of retire from the industry a little bit later. That's probably why not many people have heard from her. But I also did a lot more research, and it turns out, yeah, see, he's looking up thinking I'm bullshitting him. No, I'm real. It's real, Jeff. Why don't you go buy it?
I might now.
It seems like there's a lot of scream queens with the name Barbara. They're coming to get you, Barbara. I mean, they weren't kidding. Seriously. But this is another one that I came across in my research. And she's not necessarily my favorite, but I feel like this is the one name that's left out of all of these lists of top 15, top 10 scream queens. And that is Barbara Steele. Does that name ring a bell to any of you guys?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I mean...
S-T-E-E-L-E?
Yeah, S-T-E-L-E. Yes, there's an E at the very end. But, I mean, she checks off all the boxes, but not only was she beautiful, she was also terrifying to look at, especially with the films that she was in. I mean, she had roles in gothic horror films, shoulder-length dark hair, deep, dark, staring eyes, cheekbones, and then she had this deep voice to her. And she was opposite of Vincent Price in Pit and the Pendulum, which was the Roger Corman production, written by Richard Matheson, the horror writer Richard Matheson. And she got her start in a lot of Italian horror films like Black Sunday, and then there were other ones like The Ghost, Castle of Blood, and Angel of Satan. She was in a ton of these horror movies in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and no one ever mentioned her at all.
Really?
It's shocking to me because she's more like the Scream Queen. In fact, there's a couple articles saying, yes, Barbara Steele is the Scream Queen. Way before Jamie Lee Curtis was even a name, before the term Scream Queen was even a term, it was her. Now, a couple things that were kind of disheartening because, like we said before, it sucks that, you know, actresses that want to branch away from the horror genre, they don't want to be attached to a genre. And she kind of said that publicly, saying, I never want to climb out of another freaking coffin again. I mean, this kind of was disheartening to a lot of horror fans, and she kind of like walked away from the horror genre in the 70s. She married a screenwriter by the name of James Poe, which I think is kind of funny. I just remember her being like utterly terrifying. She's in flashbacks through most, but then she comes back at the very end when Vincent Price realizes, oh, you're not dead. Because they all follow the same beat. These Roger Corman, Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe adaptations, they're fun.
They are fun.
They really are. But that's the one I'm mostly known for her. But after her husband passed away, though, she like retired. But she did come back, and she became a producer and actually won a few Emmys.
Oh, wow.
For her work as a producer. And she also, for her horror fans, she said, I'm coming back. She did a small walk-on role for the 1991 revival of Dark Shadows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she did come back. And she was mentioned in Clive Barker's documentary, AZ of Horror. So she's there. It's just that a lot of these sites, they don't know where the hell she is.
Well, yeah, they probably mainly just deal with the 80s, 90s, and now because of that term didn't get used until the 80s.
Until it was like mainstream.
Yeah.
The 70s, really, because Halloween was the end of 70s.
They should have done their damn research. Unlike
and then it even goes back past the 70s because of, in the 60s, we had Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had Janet Leigh. And then we also had Rosemary's Baby, I think, also came out in the 60s.
Mia Farrow.
Mia Farrow.
So you had
She was another one that I feel like is another unsung.
I don't see her name on a lot of other lists, too. Yeah.
Dude, Rosemary's Baby.
I'm sorry, Rosemary's Baby's overrated.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's a classic, but it's like, I watched that once, and I said, no.
All right, so Lexi's pregnant, and my brain's like, hey, let's check out Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, what are you doing?
So I watched both versions. The new one and the old one. I'm like, they both sucked. But I'm like, why did I choose the right now to go, hey, let's watch this movie? But I was laughing at the fact that the amount of smoking everyone did in the original one. Like, she's pregnant, smoking. I'm like, what the fuck?
Metaphor. It's metaphor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I just do your research. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Look back in the 50s and 60s. Barbara Steele puts all of them to shame. I think she's done even more horror films than most of them out there right now.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't done that already. I mean, it's like the same thing in the NFL. Like, they didn't count sacks from a defensive player until the 80s, I think. So there's, like, guys like Deacon Jones that, like, he's got numbers of them, but they don't count them. And it's like, we got footage. Why don't you just go back?
There you go. Make a documentary.
Yeah.
All right, no one will. You got to do it yourself.
Yep.
I think it'd be a fun documentary.
Yeah.
And search for the original Scream Queens.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's our idea.
Yeah.
It's already it's copyrighted, and if you get to talk to Nev, I'm coming.
Listen, I'm just going to insult people. It's
Yeah.
Well, guess what? When we start talking about Scream, if you insult, I'm just going to push you off this bitch. Actually, I'm one of those people that when people are like, they'll make fun of it, I don't really care.
Yeah, 'cause
I love it. I love it. I don't care if you don't like it. I'm not here to impress you.
Exactly. We are.
Like, if I want to watch 1 through 4 and do nothing all day, I'm going to do it. Which I do when I'm sick, by the way. Watch all 1 through 4.
If it helps you feel better.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's what you do.
I'm a Scream Queen in training.
As we wait for 5 to come out.
Oh, yeah.
No, but we're not talking about it because I'm not going to get excited. Not going to do it. Look what happened with Freddy versus Jason. I refuse to.
No. You could have at least said the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. You could have said something like that.
No.
Like, nope, gotta take another
No,
shot.
I wasn't excited for the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'm still speechless after all these years.
I'm
still don't know how to.
I'm not even attempting to watch that because just seeing the newer Freddy Krueger, it just makes me mad. He looks ridiculous. I would not run from him. I would laugh at him.
Yeah.
A couple memes out there would share your same sentiment.
Yeah, no, but yes, I'm not gonna get excited because I get overhyped up and then I get let down, and I don't want to do that because I love it too much. Actually, even if it's bad, I'll probably still love it just because I'm that loyal.
Makes sense because, I would say, take for instance, big example is Friday the 13th. How many out of the 12 are actually really good? I'm saying 5, but I get excited when I hear Friday the 13th because dude in a hockey mask is going to kill somebody. So I get the sentiment.
For a second, I thought you said you liked 5.
No.
Liked number 5.
No one likes 5. No one. I'm trying to hold that one back.
Jeff, am I getting to you?
I'm going to leave real quick.
But yeah, have respect. Barbara Steele, she's the one that trailblazed, and maybe I will take up on your offer. Maybe I will make a documentary about her someday.
Cool.
Seriously.
You're welcome. I expect royalties.
Yeah.
You just get a special thanks.
I'll take out my checkbook. How much?
We'll see how well it does. We'll leave that blank.
Speaking of the other Barbara, there's 3 Barbaras that came up. Barbara Crampton being the other one.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, her performance in Chopping Mall was probably the most ridiculous. That scream she did.
Another one I think you kind of have to mention is Faye Dunaway. Because remember the movie Mommy Dearest?
No, I don't remember that.
Really? Oh,
I wouldn't consider that a Scream Queen role.
I wouldn't either, and I think that's why it gets kind of overshadowed. But she did cause
if she stabbed her with the hammer.
Yeah,
I mean, with the hanger. Then. Yeah, but no, she just whipped her with a hanger. That doesn't count.
I mean, she was psycho. She was definitely
Does it
psycho.
count in what's the vampire movie she was in with Jim Carrey? First Bitten. First Bitten. One Spitten.
Oh, Faye Dunaway was in that?
Yeah, she's the head vampire that turns him into a
It
vampire.
was Jim Carrey's first role too in the film.
I love that movie.
Sorry, the most awkward scene in that entire movie. They're trying to figure out if he's bitten, but it's only on the inside of the thigh. They pretty much attack him in the shower, and there's a guy holding him.
Yeah. And then he brings up the point. Couldn't you guys just ask me?
So yeah, technically, I would consider her a Scream Queen at this point.
She's a head vampire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're doing a lot here, guys.
Yeah, we're breaking it down, which is what we were thinking
That's
about
the whole point of this episode.
It's like some people don't necessarily think about one of Jeff's favorites, Elvira.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, I would consider her a scream queen because she's like a queen of Halloween and horror.
I would too.
She's definitely in that genre. Where it's like, if you want to associate a woman with the horror community and the spirit of Halloween, I totally would put Elvira in there.
I would too.
Then out of respect, you'd have to do Vampira as well, because
Exactly.
those two right there are always dealing with horror.
Exactly.
And
When you talk about Barbara Steele, I kept thinking of Vampira, just the way you described
Yeah.
it.
She looked like a real vampire too.
I mean, there are some that I feel like are also like big staples in it, like the three girls in Rocky Horror. But I don't know if I call them scream queens. You know, like Janet, Magenta, and Columbia. But like when you see them, you know that they're involved with horror. But I don't know what you would call them.
Just because it has horror in the title, though, I don't consider Rocky Horror a horror movie.
No.
But it's because it's a satire of all the horror. So the spirit was there, and the theme of it had like, you know, it's basically a comedy.
Yeah.
I think of it as a science fiction musical.
Well, that too. I mean, sci-fi and horror do kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, because in reality, Sigourney Weaver is actually a scream
Yeah,
queen as
she
well.
definitely is.
Yeah.
Ripley.
The Alien
Yeah,
franchise.
Ripley's a badass.
The Village, M. Night Shyamalan.
No.
Get out.
No. He tilted your head. Did you the Michael Myers head tilted at me just now? Did you just do that?
Yeah! Oh my god.
But that makes for an interesting discussion because, like we were just saying, with like the sci-fi and stuff.
The Saska sisters, I would consider them scream queens as well.
There you go. I can see
Yeah,
them.
because they deal with a lot of the horror on the outside of the camera, but not on the front side.
So with that being said, would Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, could she possibly be a scream queen to an extent?
See, I don't think Terminator is a horror movie.
But
The only
But-
horror movie
but-
I know she's in was Children of the Corn.
Yeah, but remember we said
Technically, yeah.
Or
And
Dante's
that's-
Peak, because volcanoes are scary.
Who says that Vulcan?
what? But remember we talked about how there's an element of 80s slasher in Terminator.
Absolutely. It is like a sci-fi horror film.
I mean, it's definitely not like horror in your face, but it definitely had horror elements. And then she's that final girl to an extent where she's the one being the victim and chased, and then she perseveres, overcomes, and instead of being a screamer, she becomes a strong person on top of it.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Like,
because-
maybe not Scream Queen is the way to say it, or if you did a top 100 list, she'd probably be low.
I would say just her being in Children of the Corn makes her a scream queen.
Okay, well...
I think you can count it just because while you were talking about it, I brought out my inner Randy geek. So I was literally picturing Jamie Kennedy going, Sarah Connor from Scream 2. Yes.
So if he says
So it counts.
Yeah, because...
So then Showgirls, that means Elizabeth...
No!
No!
Just because that movie was a massacre doesn't make it...
Stop. Stop it right now.
Yeah, Paul Verhoeven.
Just because Jamie Kennedy brought it up in Scream 2 doesn't mean that it's an actual horror movie.
Don't question Randy, okay?
No.
We got a debate going on.
Yo, I had no idea, because I actually watched the Blockbuster documentary on Netflix.
I cried. And does that make me a nerd? I cried. When they showed, like, when they panned down to the rug, I could, like, smell the rug. I don't know if I was overly emotional that day, but by the time it ended, I got sad.
No, I got it
But
too.
Jamie Kennedy was in that documentary talking
Yes.
about how he actually got started by doing a Blockbuster commercial.
Yeah, the gang.
The gang.
Yeah.
Part of the Blockbuster gang. So then he got typecast as a Blockbuster employee in Scream.
That's awesome, though.
It's so funny.
See,
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite characters just because the Randy character just was almost exactly like my friends in real life.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I just associate with Randy, even though, like, I love Matthew Lillard. A killer. See? I wasn't attracted to, like, everybody's like, oh, Skeet. I'm like, nope, I like Stu. He's a killer too. Surprise.
Dime store Johnny Depp.
Oh my god.
Oh, really? I mean, come on. Who's more popular?
That's why he was casted, really, because they, like, he reminded them of Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Plus, he had that look like, oh, he couldn't do it.
No, I was thinking that with Stu. I'm not gonna lie. Dude, he looks
I
like
thought
the
something
goofy
was
kid.
weird. I
Yeah.
honestly thought something was weird with Billy in that movie. I was like, something's off with this guy.
They do that on purpose.
Yeah, I know.
Then, yeah.
Lo and behold,
Oh,
spoilers.
If you haven't seen that movie by now, something is wrong.
All right, look, some people haven't.
I
Can't go back.
know.
No, one of our friends, they actually had to stay at our house when they were in the process of moving, and their daughter is a year younger than my son, and I showed her Scream, and at first she was like, it's good, but I don't know if it's as good as you make it feel, but guess what? She's watched all of them now, and she loves them just as much as me, so. I'm like, you will love it.
Yeah, Color ID skyrocketed for a reason because of that movie.
Corey Gillis. Yes, I don't remember the phone number, so don't test me on that. I know it's 555.
I wasn't gonna pull that out.
It was 555.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the movie.
That's awesome.
I love it.
But there's more out there than you think in terms of these Scream queens. They're all over.
Absolutely.
Honestly, we're getting a lot more currently, too. Because you got Chloe Moretz. I'm not going to even butcher their names. The woman from The Conjuring. She's done multiple.
Farmiga.
Yeah, and her sister, the one who's...
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of a big age gap. And I'm like, I thought they were like mother-daughter.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, no, they're sisters. I'm like,
Well,
what?
then you have to bring up Lynn Shay.
Lynn Shay.
Yes.
Yes,
one of the
because-
older ones
Yeah.
that is still rocking it to this
Yep.
day.
Who's been in
Insidious.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
Insidious.
The Conjuring.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A number. And she's a lot of other independent films, too.
The Insidious
Snakes on a
movies are
Plane.
one of my favorite, like, modern ones.
Snakes on a Plane.
Oh, I don't care.
What?
She definitely does.
No, I just saw something.
I thought you were telling me to zip it.
No.
I was like,
I got sidetracked because there was something floating and I just grabbed it. It really
I
looked
thought
like
he was telling me to zip it. I was like, I love the Insidious
Really,
movies.
like,
She's
cat is,
definitely,
like, getting distracted.
she's
I did.
definitely a scream queen for Insidious.
Oh, yeah.
Lynn Shay, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely
I'm
probably
not
the
gonna lie.
oldest surviving one right now. I mean, because all of them are probably in their 40s, 50s,
Mm-hmm.
but she's in her 70s, 80s.
I don't know. I want to think maybe 70s. I don't know if she's in her
70s, okay.
80s yet.
Okay, but I know she's done a ton of other like independent horror movies that no one really knows. You have to do like some deep searching to find them. But she's
I
in
think
them.
I watched one on Netflix that it. Sometimes I just pick like random ones, so I don't even know what it was called, but she was in it. Yeah, so
I think she was in that 2001 Maniacs with Robert Englund. And
Oh
they
my
were like
God.
cannibalizing on
Yeah.
people. She was like married to Robert Englund. in
I'm
that.
not gonna lie.
Jesus.
I remember her from There's Something About Mary.
Yeah.
She was the mom in Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that tan.
Yes.
Something about Mary.
As soon as you brought her up, it wasn't Insidious. It wasn't any of the horror movies. I'm like, there's something about Mary. But yeah.
Well, I guess in some ways Drew Barrymore's kind of a scream queen because of
Yeah, Firestarter.
Firestarter.
Mhm.
Firestarter.
Yeah.
Scream, obviously. They said she was a big reason why Wes Craven signed on to do Scream.
Yeah, she was actually supposed to be Sydney.
Exactly.
And then
she
I think
really?
something else came up, so she's like, she wanted that smaller role instead, so she can go do something else.
That was part of her comeback too, because she was in rehab when she was like 13, 14 years old. To
But
drugs
that
and
also
alcohol.
makes you intrigued as soon as the movie starts, because if you're gonna watch a movie that kills Drew Barrymore in like the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you'd be like, this is awesome.
She did like one movie before Scream. That was Poison Ivy. It's not really a scary movie though. It's more of a thriller though. That was like kind of her introduction back into the Hollywood scene.
Yeah.
But she turned down the director like 3 times, and then finally the director said, "I've had enough. I wanted you in this movie, but now you've just kind of, you stood me up, and I'm sick of it." She actually read the script and said, "You know what? Can you please bring me back? Because I really want to do this movie."
I think there are other people that came on to Scream because they got Drew Barrymore.
That name being a catalyst to draw more stars to come into the
Yeah,
project.
because
which
nobody else
happens.
was really famous by then. Like, even the most famous people in that movie had like the smallest roles. Like Henry Winkler isn't in it for very long.
Nev Campbell was in. She was in Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Party of Five.
I
That was
love
a
Are
big
You Afraid
show
of the
she was
Dark?
in.
She definitely screamed quite a bit in that one. The Dangerous Soup. That was the episode. And Are You
I
Afraid of the
remember
Dark?
that one.
Gosh.
Oh, you remember that one?
I remember.
That was one of the better ones, that's for sure. Just because of her presence alone.
Yeah,
They
she was like-
they remade those, and like I watched a little bit of them. The Are You Afraid of the Dark, and some of them are pretty scary.
That one with the hospital and the vampire, that was probably the scariest one I've seen. That was one of the original ones. I don't know if they remade that one, but that was pretty good.
No, they didn't remake the older ones. They just brought back the franchise, so it's different storylines.
Right. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Which I still haven't seen all the way through. I've only seen like the pilot episode, but it was good. It was good. I like the director. I like some of the cast members. One was the kid from It Chapter 1, the first one. Mm-hmm. But I gotta get back into that.
Another one that was pretty current that we didn't talk about. Not a lot of people know about her, but her name's Catherine Isabelle. She's in the Ginger Snap movies.
American Mary, the Soka sisters.
Yep.
Okay.
Freddy vs. Jason.
I was that was her from. Okay, I knew she was in Freddy vs. Jason. That's the same girl from Ginger Snaps, the werewolf movie.
Yeah.
I was thinking also like more current one was See No Evil 2. It's her and Daniel. Yeah, it's her and Daniel Harris. So.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of the.
You do realize you haven't even mentioned Daniel Harris as a Scream Queen.
Well,
I did earlier.
I figured we were gonna.
But
get
I don't
to
think
her
that was
and
as a Scream Queen.
Oh,
just...
that woman, literally.
Well, now that we brought her up, though, I think we might as well, because
I totally confused her at the last Monster Mania when I was vending. I did it to a bunch of people, where I was talking to a customer and Danielle Harris walked past, and I said hi to her in a way like I knew her. I'm like, "Oh, hey Danielle." She waved, she's like, "Hey." But then when she came back again, I was still talking to somebody else, but she did like a triple take, like, "Do I know her?"
Honestly, she is probably the one person that I keep running into at those horror movie conventions. Like, literally running into. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing?
I gotta say, when I met her, she was very nice, and because I kind of grew up with a crush on her, I was like, oh. And, like, she couldn't have been any sweeter, man. It was
She was
awesome.
really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But I also tricked Billy Zane, too. I did that the exact same way. And he came up, he, like, gave me like a hug while I was talking to somebody. I'm like, "Hey, Billy." I think he didn't want to be rude, thinking if I know her, I'm not gonna be like, "Who are you?"
Boy, Jeff, you got the opposite story of that asshole.
You know what? I've heard multiple. He was super sweet to me. He was super nice to me. But you hear that about anybody. But you know what? It was a Jamie Kennedy thing on his YouTube channel, and he was telling stories, like, because I've heard stuff about Jamie Kennedy where they're like, "Oh, he was like a dick. He was rude." But you know what? He was awesome to me. I would have been traumatized, obviously, if he wasn't. But he made a point, like, you have these people, they're going to, like, cons, and people are, like, bothering you. Sometimes you're not in the mood.
Yeah,
like, you just want to... And my husband actually experienced that with Billy Zane, because after that, when he was leaving, he was waiting for his ride, and he was in the cafe at Monster Mania, just having, like, tea, waiting for his ride to come, and this drunk girl just kept trying to give him shots. He's like, "I'm not drinking." Like, she was really being, like... aggressively like in his face, and then he finally had to be like, "Back up." So I probably would. I'm an introvert, so I would be like that too. Probably I'd be like, "Go." But on the other hand, I also try to make. I'm like, everybody know that I'm nice.
Well, it's your business to make sure.
But in the same way, I'm like, "Get away from me," because then I have to talk to you.
I think it just comes down to some of these average crowd goers that they fail to realize that some of these celebrities are people just like you and us.
That's just it. And you know how people are when they don't get what they want. Yeah. You know, if you're like below their expectations, or you think they should just bow down to you and like every sort of command because it's like, "I paid for your movie ticket." It's like, really? You know, that's not the case. No. Like, I remember when we met Heather Langenkamp, I'm sure people were probably so pissed off at her because like her line was so long, and then at one point she left because she got lunch or something else happened. Remember, it was like, that was what, 2010 or whatever?
2010, 2011.
And we heard people complaining about it, but you know what? As soon as we met her, she was like fucking awesome.
She actually apologized too.
Yeah.
Oh, Matthew Lillard, first of all, is like the most amazing human being to ever grace this earth. But like, he tells you right off the bat, he is so appreciative of the people like in his line. Like, you can't get any nicer than him. He's like a saint.
I don't know. Ernie Hudson's a hard one to top.
No, I don't know. Nope. Matthew Lillard, he's the best. But like, he'll even make sure, like, if there's older people in the line that you could tell like they can't stand that long, he'll bring them up first. Like, he'll go to the kids first. Like, he's amazing, and he tells everybody all the time how appreciative he is. He's like, because you know what? He's like, "You're putting food on my kids' tables." Like, he knows why he's there, and he knows why his line is so long. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, he's shaggy.
He's Stu.
Yes, Jeff.
Actually,
That's
you know
not-
what though? You can't make fun of it because he is hands down the best Shaggy ever. He was meant to play Shaggy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything about his Shaggy is perfection.
I'm not gonna lie, I got pissed when they recast the voice of Shaggy as somebody
Yes.
else in
Yes.
that Scooby movie. And I'm like, yo, bring him back. I don't give
Yeah,
a fuck.
I know.
Yeah.
They
Like,
did
I
for the
felt like
Elvira
in-
one.
I felt like in that 2002 movie when it was like live action, like I thought he was perfect for it. And all
Oh
I
my
kept
gosh,
thinking
he's
of was,
perfect.
wait, this is Stu.
Is he gonna murder me?
Yeah,
next?
I was like, wait a minute.
I have a skeleton on my porch that I keep around all year round. His name is Stu. Right now he has bunny ears
saw
on.
that.
I did see that too.
But now I'm torn because after tomorrow he has to lose his ears, so I don't know how to dress him now. Now he's just gonna be a skeleton.
Give him a bow tie.
Yeah.
Like a spring bow tie.
Yeah,
Nice and
bow ties are
colorful.
cool.
In summer I'll give him a swim
Like a
cap.
Hawaiian shirt for summertime, you know?
Put on trunks in
Good
it.
point.
Yeah.
I'm taking donations for Stu's wardrobe.
Just if I have a Hawaiian shirt.
I don't
Dress-
have a wine shirt.
Dress for Stu.
Dress for Stu.
DressForStu.com.
Yes.
I do have a apron from Aliens that Stu could have. It has the alien popping out for grilling season.
That's a good
4th of
one.
July.
Get him a chef's hat and I'll splash blood on it.
There
There you go. That's awesome. There's a couple other Scream Queens that are upcoming that I also just came across, like Emma Roberts being one, being the killer from Scream 4, as well as Love It or Hate It, American Horror Story. It has its good seasons,
like
it has its
American
bad
Horror
seasons.
Story.
You
Yeah,
do
it
like
does. It does have bad seasons. There are a couple where
Oh, yeah.
I didn't finish them, but
Mm-hmm. think-
overall, I love American Horror Story.
1984, I think, was one of the better ones.
I liked that one, and I
really
loved
enjoyed
I
that.
loved Hotel. Some people are like weird about that. It made me like Lady Gaga. Like she was awesome in that. I did not, out of American Horror Story, I did not like the Virginia one. That one was
Roanoke?
that was
Oh,
terrible.
I love that one.
And that was
I'm
the
exact
worst
opposite.
season. That was the worst season finale. That season, I turned it off. I was like, no, I hate that.
Wow, okay.
And the political one, I didn't really like that one
No.
either.
Election?
The Apocalypse one was okay.
I liked Apocalypse. I
Yeah.
liked, like, when they first started it, when they advertised it, I got so excited because they were bringing everything back into full circle. And I was like, good, it's not going to be weird like the other ones that were right before it. But then, like, the first episode, it started to get weird. And I was like, uh-oh, not going to like it. But I ended up liking it.
So I just, as you guys were talking, and you brought up Lady Gaga, that makes her a Scream Queen.
It
Because she was in
absolutely does.
multiple series for the same horror show.
Yeah.
I would
It is.
consider that. Well, I mean, especially because some of the shit she did on stage. But
In Roanoke, I didn't think she was, like...
Wasn't she?
Maybe
a
it's
witch or
because I
something?
didn't like... Yeah, she was like a witch, but
Yeah,
I didn't like
I did dress
anything
as her
about
for
that.
Halloween too.
you did.
Thanks, showgirls.
But in Hotel, she was amazing.
I'm gonna have to revisit that one because I
You really,
remember
really
not
should.
watching all of that. I remember watching the first 2 episodes.
And like I liked Asylum, but like I'm not an alien. Like I don't like space stuff. So when like the little
neither am I.
alien guy went, I didn't like
For
that.
me, that one was all over the place. They tried
No.
to cram so many.
The first one is
subgenres
my
in
favorite.
one. Yes.
Murder House is my absolute favorite. I liked Coven.
Coven, I thought was really good.
I liked 84. I liked Hotel.
So, should we consider Sarah Paulson and
Yes.
Jessica Lange?
Sarah
Yes.
Paulson,
Scream Queens?
Jessica Lange, yes.
'Cause
Cape
I remember-
Fear for Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange was like super popular when American Horror Story came out. That means she was like the highlight of
Yeah.
that series there for a
Absolutely.
while.
Mm-hmm.
And then she left and then she came back and everybody was like, oh shit, Jessica Lange.
Which means you can't discount Kathy Bates because she's
No.
in Misery.
No.
I would say
Yeah.
Misery alone
There's
gives her.
another
Yeah.
one.
That gives her credibility.
Yeah.
Well, plus
gonna
wasn't
hobble
Jessica
him.
Lange in that crappy King Kong remake too?
The Jeff Bridges
Yeah.
King Kong, as I refer to it as.
That was the creepiest laugh too. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. That
Sorry.
Was, yeah, we mentioned Emma Roberts. Samara Weaving, being in Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV show in the first season especially. Ready
Yeah.
or Not isn't really horror. That's more of like a thriller type. But she was supposed to be in Scream 5, I think. But I think a scheduling conflict prevented her from being in the movie, so she had to back out.
I have not seen Ready or Not yet, and I've heard good things. And I know that the people that did Ready or Not are doing Scream 5.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I haven't
their,
had a chance.
Their names definitely attract me to Scream 5 because I do enjoy Ready or Not because it is it has like some campiness, but it also has like a really cool concept at the center of it. And she's awesome in the movie, Samara Weaving.
You forgot The Babysitter 1 and 2.
The Babysitter 1 and 2 on Netflix.
I'm not gonna lie. The main thing that sticks out with Samara Weaving is her appearance in Ash vs. Evil Dead. That woman can scream, and I even got to the point like, she's gonna die just from screaming that much. I felt bad.
Well, she got jacked up in that Ash vs. Evil Dead show. I felt bad for the woman.
I just thought, like, bringing up that, like, Lucy Lawless is now a scream queen because of that show. I was like, damn, like, as we're going into this, like, we're actually discovering more.
We are finding more and more and more as we keep going. That's awesome.
And just the strong characters that you can put in there that, like, are so iconic in this scream queen, like, persevering over evil and horror. Like, what's her name from Ash vs. Evil Dead? That was with Pablo. Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly.
You know?
I can't remember her real name, but
Yes.
I mean, she could probably fit in with the category.
honestly, I'm actually surprised that they're bringing as many people back to the game from the show, and that was the one thing that I was excited for.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking it up now.
Yeah, because it's going to drive me nuts, and we're going to be sitting here talking. I'm just screaming out. But
IMDb is like the Bible.
It really is.
The movie Bible.
I have that up right now.
I bring it up every single time. Like I get in an argument with my husband. I'm like, "That's so and so from that," and he's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Oh, really? You're really going to question me?"
I'm going to apologize in advance. I don't want to butcher her name. Her name is Dana Darlenzo. I can't even say the L in the middle of the name. Dorenzo?
Dorenzo?
Yeah.
De Lorenzo.
Told you I was going to butcher it. And then you also have Jill Mary Jones, who was the cop in that first season. So.
Okay.
Is she the one that turned into the Deadeye and turned those two kids into a hand puppet?
I'm sorry, but her line where she's like using him as
she's using him as hand puppets.
Yeah. So it's like as we're bringing up more and more throughout, it's like this could be like a 4-hour-long episode, but
I mean, there are some that have only like made a staple in one, but have like been known to be a scream queen, like Caroline Williams in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
But she has continued coming back.
She has, but she's known just mainly for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like hell, she was in Leprechaun 3.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Remembers her. Hey, she and I have the same birthday.
I think she was just in a recent one. It was like a horror radio show.
Movies too.
Yeah, Hatchet alone just keeps bringing back old horror actors and actresses.
It just keeps coming back.
Honestly, and I enjoy that series just because of what it is. It is a horror fan making a horror movie.
Yeah.
With his, I guess, favorites.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not an Italian horror movie. It's not a Japanese remake. Not an American Japanese remake. It's a true American horror movie.
And now you bring up Italian. So you forget to bring up Asia Argentino. Her dad being Dario Argentino.
Dario Argento.
Yeah. I told you I'm going to put your names today. She is a scream queen from when she was a kid too. Like the Giallo Italian
Giallo films.
Yeah. She was in multiples as a kid because of her dad.
That's crazy.
And like I took notice of that watching I think it was Demons 2. I'm like, wait, is that who I think that is? Let me tell you what.
Brooke Shields was in a movie as a kid that was a horror film. I think it was called Alice, Sweet Alice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, as mentioned before, Barbara Steele, that's how she got started, was doing the Italian horror movies before they were dubbed the Italian Giallo horror films, because that was more 70s and 80s. These were 60s. These are the old school ones.
I still enjoy those.
But because we just kind of skimmed over Danielle Harris.
I know. I feel bad, but we just did that. Like, I'm sorry, Danielle Harris. Way in advance. Like, we did not mean.
We're saying positive things about her, but
Absolutely.
She got started as a kid. And she got started in Halloween 4 and 5.
Yep.
Like, honestly, like I said, in that movie, 4, 5, was where I thought she did the best performance because of trying to show all that emotion, everything, just without using words, made the biggest impact about that movie. The movie might be straight up trash, but her performance is the best thing that came out of it.
You can't deny what she did to the whole movie or take anything away from her just because of the final product. I mean, that's not fair to fault her on that. No. And then to have her come back and Rob Zombie's Halloween, which, by the way, I kind of consider Sherry Moon Zombie.
I was thinking that while you're saying it.
Well, dude, what? He has 8 movies and she started all of them.
And then when you see her in Halloween that he did, you see that she actually has some range and that she's not just this psycho killer and all his shit.
I think her best one was probably Lords of Salem because you actually got to see that whole range for the entire movie. Like the ending straight up trash, but everything leading up to it was really well done. Like, I want to say that was Zombie's best movie leading up to the end, and then obviously Devil's Rejects is his best movie.
I would say that's my favorite of his.
I just love her. I've never met her in person, but like I follow her on like Instagram and stuff. But if you see her in her real life environment, she's completely opposite. So like the fact that she can act that well, it makes you almost think like that's how she would be in real life. So nope, she's amazing. So she counts.
Except for Rob Zombie, he looks exactly how he acts, and that's exactly what it is.
I've always been under the impression, like, you could just... I've never obviously seen him without the beard, but you could tell he's hot under there. Probably, like, if he ever shaves, I'd be like, nope. Just like anybody with a beard.
I feel like he's going to look like Charles Manson, just without the beard. You know, I'm going to look up White Zombie. There's got to be a picture without him a beard.
I've tried to find pictures of him without the beard just to validate myself, but no.
But yeah, like he's another one who was a horror fan. Granted, he does that whole like white trash spray paint over
on it.
But he is a horror fan making horror movies, and that was another thing. Like, he loves bringing back old actors and actresses for it. Wow. Played Mother Firefly. Just totally drew a blank. We were talking about her earlier.
Oh, yeah. She was in Police Academy.
Yeah.
It's not Lisa Wilcox, is it? No. Lisa Wilcox was in...
Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Yeah, but she was in Devil's Rejects as well.
Lisa Wilcox was?
Yeah.
Man, it's been a while since I've seen that movie.
We just saw it the other day. That's why I remembered it. Because I forgot as well. We were watching. I'm like, is that Lisa Wilcox?
Bang.
There is another one that we've completely missed back in the 70s and the 80s, and that is Dee Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
Dee Wallace. I mean, being in
She's
the
like
Hills
the
of... Yeah, the Hills of Eyes.
Was I wrong?
As well as
Leslie
Critters.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking...
Cujo.
She looks a lot like Lisa Wilcox now.
And in fact, on IMDb, under her birth...
All
right, well,
correction. Yeah, and The Frighteners, too. That was Peter Jackson's movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and she was in Rob Zombie's Halloween. She was Laurie Strode's mom.
Yeah. In fact, in IMDb, under her birth name, it says Deanna Lee Bowers, but under her... that it says nickname, The Scream Queen, Dee Wallace.
Oh, shit.
So she was another person in Search of Tomorrow, In Search of Darkness, so she definitely appeared in that. Yeah, she's done quite a bit of horror movies as well.
Lisa Wilcox was not in Devil's Rejects.
Oh.
But that other woman
Leslie
looks a lot like her. She looks a lot like her,
okay.
so it confused me. I'm sorry, Lisa Wilcox. I met her. She's awesome. So now I feel bad. But I already explained that I'm not like a super high-level movie nerd. I'm like a low-level movie nerd, which I thought I was higher, but you guys have knocked me down the totem pole.
Honestly, we're not even that high. Like, we're literally using IMDb right now. Like, as we're bringing stuff up, as we're talking, it's like, that's actually the reason I grabbed my phone. Normally, I don't have my phone.
I was going to say, I think it's just we're getting older and we're forgetting.
I think that's what it is.
There was a time where we were like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain a movie the other day, and all I said, the guy with the face. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't been over.
Yeah, the one with the mask. We wore a mask.
Yeah.
That narrows it
you
down.
Don't have any ice. I have to drink this coffee hot. You know the movie that starred that guy where they did that thing?
Killed that person.
But I can explain a kill perfectly, and that's how I figure out the movie. That's horrible.
Sleeping Bag Kill. Go.
Which time? Actually, E.G. Daily is another one that more recently started going into the horror realm. She's getting older. We also know her as Tommy Pickles from Rugrats.
Yep.
But she's starting to get into the horror world, mainly Rob Zombie, but...
She's in there.
Yeah, and it, like you said, it's like, as we're discussing, it's like more and more keep coming out, and it's like, I think with it being a recent thing that we're bringing this up, it's like, it seems like, yes, in the past, let's say 20 years, a lot more of them are popping up. And it's not a bad thing at all. It's actually really cool. Like you said, one genre that has a lot of strong female leads is horror. Mm-hmm. Granted, like, they also still use the sexism part, but it goes back to the vulnerability.
Yeah.
Well, it was also like in that line that Wes Craven said when he did A Nightmare on Elm Street, and when Tina dies, who Amanda Wyss, I believe, she's been like in some other low-key horror films. And I mean, she's in this iconic death scene in Nightmare on Elm Street, kind of like the Janet Leigh way. And here she was, like, super vulnerable in a shirt, like, basically naked in her underwear. You know, and then at one point even Freddy like rips the shirt open and cuts her down her sternum through her stomach. So it was like, you know, you get this really heavy sense of vulnerability from her.
Yeah, because you thought that she was the lead.
Exactly. It was another Janet Leigh twist where it was like, oh, you thought everything's going well and she'll come out of it. Nope.
Just rip the rug right from underneath you.
I actually enjoyed those openings. So like Scream, Psycho, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
You just don't want to overdo it, or else then it becomes cliche, and you're like, seen it.
Yeah.
You know, that's where there are cheesy parts to it, but that's also why in Scream 4, that beginning sequence where they were doing like a movie in a movie in a movie.
Yes,
I like
totally
that.
Got that too.
At first I did it. I'm like, this seems like it's going to suck, and I'm gonna be sad. But then I'm like, oh, I like it. I like it because then you have to guess which one is the real person that's going to get killed. If we forget
this is Wes Craven directing, like just keep watching, just keep watching.
You know, not to get too off topic, but I think Scream 4 is actually very underappreciated because everything that was in that movie actually nailed society and what we knew about films to a T in it. And I think the problem was it was done so well that the garbage that everybody saw that was like, oh, this is stupid. It's like, well, that's what you all are watching.
Honestly,
if you think it sucks, it's because it's like the reality TV bullshit that you go through. This is it right in front of your face telling you, see, it sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, and if there is that stab marathon, I want to go to it.
I would say, honestly, I think I identified with Hayden Panettiere in that when she started bitching about all the remakes. I'm like,
she goes off of the movie.
Oh my
list.
gosh. I sound like she's
See, there's something for everybody.
It's like almost 4 movies later for me.
Then you have the poor frozen princess that's going to stab you in the gut because you're talking during your movie. That would be me. I'm like, I told you to stop talking.
Yeah, best opening was and Anna Paquin being in
Yeah.
multiple horror movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I could probably throw Anna Paquin in there, especially because of True Blood.
Yeah.
That's
True
like
Blood.
a staple in horror. You know, and she goes to the conventions and signs all True Blood stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, you usually forget about TV series. Like when you automatically go to horror movies and you forget about the series.
It really hasn't been until like HBO really picked up stuff with like The Sopranos and Sex and the City when the shows became more of a thing, and then the uncensored shows started letting you expand.
There are some really good ones, like
what you
on
can
Fox,
do.
because I love The Following. And by the way, I share a birthday with James Purefoy, and I don't care
really?
if he's like in his 60s, he's hot. And there goes serial killer cult leader. I would join that cult.
Oh my goodness.
But like The Exorcist show, did you watch The Exorcist
I
show?
heard about it. I didn't see it, but I heard it was excellent.
I was just talking about it the other day. Like, you have to watch. It's so good. I was so sad. It only has 2 seasons.
That's what I heard.
But the second season, you're looking at it, you're getting the perspective of the person that's actually possessed. Like, you're seeing what that possessed person is seeing that's letting them keep that demon in their body. I actually, and it's the guy from Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
I was always
John Cho.
Yeah.
I was always fascinated
loved
by
it.
that stuff. Like,
I think
remember
Jeremy Slater is the director, and he should direct everything.
I'd say, honestly, I think Gina Davis alone out of that first season is what pulled me in because I'm like,
heck, Gina
was so
Davis,
good.
she's got, like, even though it's comedies like Beetlejuice, what's that, like Transylvania 3500 or whatever?
oh, 9500?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
You know, she's got, like, this, like, awkward horror staple,
Yeah.
too, even though if it's satire or something.
Her tragic ending, or at least what happened, what she has to do in David Cronenberg's The Fly.
Oh, yeah, The Fly. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. A League of Their Own.
She's like
I love A League of Their Own.
Screaming.
That's my favorite non-horror movie, by the way, everybody. My husband hates that movie. Like, it's my favorite non-horror movie.
You mean
Dude, nobody
it's
cries in
not-
baseball.
I love that movie. But seriously, actually, with you guys being in the film industry, I have an idea that kind of has to get seen. Let me tell you, because I loved The Exorcist, the way it was done so much, like Jeremy Slater did that. I read a book by Andrew Piper called The Demonologist. It's one of my favorite books. It's so good, and look, you leaning in like I'm exciting. I like it.
You did the finger
I did the
class.
finger class. Well, when I was reading this book, I actually read it imagining it like Jeremy Slater directed it. Like, I almost was watching it in my mind as the Exorcist show. Like, they need to make that a movie or a show, and he needs to do it. Make it happen before the other documentary. Because, you know, I'm already getting
I love
old.
that because I'm all about, like, the demonologists and exorcists, and I mean it's such like a tight knit, like secretive thing. Like, you know, they don't want you seeing exorcisms.
They're actually I find
dangerous.
those more scary. Like they're more like horror movies and slasher films. I enjoy just because usually they're funny.
Yeah,
they don't scare me. Like I just like them because I enjoy them. But like the Exorcist type ones, they kind of scary because then some of them. There was one on Netflix. I actually turned it off. I didn't watch it because I love watching those kind of movies. But there was a thing on like saying that they had actual footage and that you have to watch because it could come through the TV too. And I was like, nope. So I was by myself. I'm like not doing it.
I see.
Like almost like a Ouija board. I have Ouija board socks. I have Ouija board mugs. I love the aesthetic of the Ouija board design. Yeah. I won't play. I played when I was younger and weird stuff happened, but yes.
I've seen people wearing COVID masks with the Ouija board.
Did you see my post the other day? Like I was walking the dog with my friend and there's a house that like burned down like a few years ago. It already looks like it would be in a horror movie. There was a Ouija board on the curb. And it was in the box still. You could see the corner of it.
If you look at the picture too, like like somebody just threw it there like we're going to do this tonight.
Exactly. Well, everybody I was like, should we play? I wasn't going to, but then people are like, I'm gonna go get it. I'm like, I'm not responsible if you go get it. But you know what? A couple days later, it was gone. So that person probably is dead.
They're haunted forever.
Yeah. The book, The Demonologist. It's Andrew Piper. It's Pyper.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's your homework. So if I come back, you have to have read that book already.
When is
you act like you're not coming back. You know
then,
this.
Well, then order it. Go to the library and get it. It's so good. I think I read it in like 2 days.
Oh, wow.
It's not a thick book, but I'm busy. So for me to read a book in 2 days?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
like,
that's the picture.
Granted, like I'll have to show you the other picture. Like the front of the house just looked the scariest, so I posted the front of the house. But even from the side, like you almost felt like there was something looking out the window, like take it.
Yeah.
I need a new home.
I was like, no.
But you mentioned Ouija, and that just reminds me of like the sequel Ouija: Origin of Evil to that really horrible original movie Ouija. But
even the bad ones are good though. I think like I like watching them.
The sequel by Mike Flanagan, I thought was great. But Elizabeth Reeser in that movie, and she was also in Haunting of Hill House, not in both seasons, playing different characters. So she's enough. Like you mentioned, TV shows. People overlook TV shows. Yeah, she's an upcoming scream queen, or could possibly be one.
What about the little girl from Poltergeist?
Yeah,
because she made such a presence in the first movie with the "They Are Here" and
honestly, her
and she died right after.
Yeah,
I was like, her presence is always gonna stand out.
Was it right after
that's her image is her on the TV.
Honestly, I thought it was the first, but
no,
you
she
guys
died
know
during the
more
filming
than
of
me.
3.
I would say during the filming of 3. That's why it was so complicated.
Okay.
Well, if you look at it, the movie itself, the stuff that she's in, you actually see her face. The stuff that she died and they kept filming, it's always from her back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they found a girl with the same build.
Like a stand-in.
A stand-in.
Like
she's
the Brandon Lee from The Crow, like how they.
Oh, you know what? I was getting it confused. I actually just listened to a podcast last week, and it was the older sister in the first Poltergeist. She was murdered by her boyfriend. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was
that whole movie is plagued with problems.
They use real skeletons.
Yeah. Well, most skeletons are real. Like, if you watch the documentary Cursed Films, they talk about that movie. And they're saying, like, if every skeleton you see in a movie is more than likely a real skeleton because...
It's cheaper than the plastic one.
Less costly.
And it actually is real, so it gives that real aesthetic of a skeleton.
I think there were skeletons from India that they got.
Probably.
Yeah, they were dirt cheap.
Yeah, imagine that. It's cheaper to get a skeleton from India and
Then
ship
they
it
get
over than a plastic one.
mold. Yeah.
Actually, walking the dog yesterday, I saw a tree that looked like the tree in Poltergeist.
Oh God!
Because I said to my husband, I'm like, "That's a good climbing tree." And I was like, actually not, because now I just kept thinking of it coming through the window.
Before or after it was possessed.
After.
After.
That part always traumatized me when I was like the tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it now.
See, I see lots of scary things walking the dog. Ouija boards,
Burnt
haunted
down
trees,
houses.
burnt down houses.
Oh, should we mention the Bette Midler because of Hocus Pocus? I mean, she's kind of like a big...
Just because it's a Halloween and witch movie, I don't consider that horror either.
Yeah.
I love Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I mean,
I love Hocus
that's why I thought I'd bring it up, because she's kind of a staple for it. like, if she would go to a convention, I'm sure she'd have a line for people to say, "Oh, I loved you in Hocus Pocus." I mean, amongst other things.
I was thinking, South Park and
Beaches.
Oh, wait, that was Barbra Streisand.
same difference.
Same thing.
All right, thank you for that, because now I don't feel as bad with the Lisa Wilcox.
Yeah, it happens a lot more than everyone realizes. There's stuff that might get edited out because I say something stupid.
I will not tell my husband, though, that I was wrong.
I think the biggest one we had cut out was when we were talking about Dirty Dancing. I messed up the date entirely, and an hour later, I'm like, "Yo, cut that out. I don't want to sound like an idiot."
We make mistakes.
Yeah,
It happens.
John more than anybody.
Fuck you both.
but
Pet peeve of mine, if I ever screw something up, I feel so bad.
It's
I'm
all
like,
right.
no, I'm like,
It's
yeah,
a
you cut it
show
out.
for fun. People can't take this too seriously. If they like it and they want to do their own research and see we were wrong, great. Then at least we piqued their interest. If not, well,
that's not what
sorry,
this
we're
is.
human, for fuck's sake.
I'd say honestly, this is what the base thing about this episode is, because all of us enjoy horror, and I feel like I said earlier, the unsung heroes are the women who are involved, and they choose to keep coming back to the horror genre. And
also because society's so weird about viewing women in general, they can't be above men, and it's I don't understand it. I don't. I mean, we're put on this earth for a reason. It doesn't matter what sex is here or there or better. I mean, there's really none. It could be one day one's better than the other day not so much. So
I'm nice, but I'm not weak, and I make sure people know that. During strict quarantine, when we couldn't leave the house, I literally felt like I did dishes every 5 minutes, and I actually put a sign up over the sink that said, "If you don't wash your own dishes, I will stab you." Because I just got sick of it. Yeah, it's funny. My husband's always like, "You're not as nice as people think you are," because I'm always threatening to stab him.
Oh my god.
It's on that screen.
But that's how you have to. I have to get your attention that way.
So do you actually have a buck knife 150? No, okay, I was just asking.
No.
Oh, what's that thing down by your ankle?
You want to find out?
No.
Tell people I'm nice, or I will cut you.
Jenn Harding's nice. Leave nice comments in our webpage.
It also helps that, they're just hearing my voice, and I sound like I'm 8. So they'll never believe you.
I got a comment where somebody thought I was 14 and transitioning. Yeah, it was actually on the Home Alone episode.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and they said, "Does he not have any balls?" And I'm like, "You mean balls?"
I once had a
Oh, you
work
sent me
call.
that image.
I was like, "What?"
I remember that.
Yeah. I once had a work call where somebody was upset, and they're like, "Can I speak to somebody? You don't even sound like you're old enough to work there." And I'm like, "Sir, I'm 30." Whatever.
But yeah, these tropes that we're talking about, the final girl and everything, about how sometimes they just kind of are just put into that final situation because they're the last one standing and that they're always weak and everything. But there are some moments in certain horror films where you've seen something different. I'm going to point this movie out now, and people probably still have a bad taste about it, but it's Jennifer's Body. And that movie got a bad rep for a lot of reasons because the studio botched the marketing for it, saying that it was all about trying to make Megan Fox hot. But that was the wrong way to market it because it was all about clever tropes on how to reposition certain tired takes and tropes in the horror genre. There's one scene where Megan Fox is bringing one of her victims after she's come back from the dead. It's this entire street of dark houses, blacked out houses, except one where it has an attic light. The boy she's bringing to this house should be freaked out of his mind, or at least if you were to swap the genders, yeah, the girl would be terrified. Instead, the boy...
The girl would know better.
The girl would know better. The guy doesn't because he's like, "Well, I'm about to get some. We're about to get it done in this attic and everything." He doesn't feel as though she's a threat because of her good looks and everything. So that's something that was cleverly done. Then she brutally murders him, thinking he's about to get some. But it's poking fun of tired tropes in horror genre. Mm-hmm. You know something you've seen that's clever, but you may not be able to put your finger on it until maybe it's talked about in someone else's show. And how there are a couple movies where women use their body for, not just for sexiness, but also to lure and empower themselves.
Succubus.
Yeah, Succubus. Mathilda May in Life Force, directed by Tobe Hooper. She's nude throughout the entire film because she's called the Space Girl. And all the guys that gawk at her, they're like, oh my God, you're so gorgeous. And then she just sucks the life out of them and kills them. So it just, something you've seen that's clever when you just maybe put your mind on it. But it's really cool stuff.
I'd say
It follows.
Yeah. I'd say the one movie I brought up before, The Love Witch, same concept, like using her body to do the killing, like luring the people in. I'd say another one would be Species, more of a sci-fi movie, but
Species. Yeah.
I like that movie, and I'm not a huge sci-fi person, like I said, but I do like Species.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like a modern day Alien in a way.
Yeah.
Yes.
With like a humans created the monster sort of thing.
Where the average film goer may be thinking, oh my God, look at her, she's nude. But no, this is like a staple of empowerment because she feels confident in her body and her own skin, and she's using that to lure her prey in.
And that's also Natasha Henstridge's movie that she's known for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Like when you think of Species, you associate her with that, or
That's
she
how she
goes
got
to
started.
conventions or something.
Yeah. She was a model, and then she eventually started getting more into acting after that film.
Jennifer Rubin was a model before
more confidence. Yeah. I think even Natasha Henstridge, I think she's in like a TV show where she says, hey kids, Species is on TV, and they like book it from behind the bushes to go home to go watch the movie. I forget what TV show it is, but she makes that cameo appearance and it's hysterical.
I remember I had a little crush on her because she's beautiful, man.
Mm-hmm. She was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you brought up Jennifer's body, and yeah, Megan Fox is the star of that, but I think Amanda Seyfried made the better role in that. Like, she played it perfectly, and she's also one, I feel like, another unsung scream queen because she doesn't play it all the time. Like, I just pulled her up too because I'm like, I know she's been in multiples, but not.
She has been, but nobody thinks of Amanda Seyfried with the horror because one, her horror stuff isn't really like out there in public or well recognized, but she has been in it. And she is a talented actress.
Oh, she is, yes.
Never mind, Jeff works with her cousin, so...
Not anymore, he quit.
Oh.
That wasn't the case a few weeks ago.
I know. I think I just found out recently. But, yeah, it's like, so, like, we're probably going to miss so many. Like, I feel like we're just touching on the iceberg. This should be a documentary at some point because women in horror is a big thing. It's always going to be a big thing. Scream Queens alone are always going to be a big staple because, like, we mentioned how many ones in the past, actually 5-10 years, and it's always going to keep growing. It's one genre that is always going to be here. They may be bad, but we're always going to watch it. I know I'm going to watch it. I don't
It's
know about
because
you
of the
guys.
fans.
Bad horror movies have a place.
Yeah.
I love even bad ones.
Yeah. It's the fan base
Unless
and
it's
it's the
Freddy versus
dedication
Jason,
that just,
and I don't like that.
yeah, just keep it going forward.
Dude, she keeps taking shots. I'm sorry. Dude, she's like, all right, Freddy versus Jason. I'm like, I'm sitting next to her. I can feel the knife just going in.
See, she is carrying a knife.
If you would have felt the like excitement and anticipation I had, and then the letdown, you'd understand.
No. I know exactly what you're talking
Okay.
about. I made this comment before.
Half my life, okay? Half my life. Like, mathematically, exactly half my life I waited for that movie.
I'm just thinking of, like, all right, how excited I was for Suicide Squad, and it was a letdown. Like, that is half my life of waiting for something cool to come out from the DC realm.
I liked it.
All right, you know what?
Oh, now he's breaking out the knife.
But I'm also not a comic nerd,
Yeah.
so I'm not watching it, comparing it to other stuff. And yes, I'm a girl, and I was my so-called life fan when I was 14. So yes, I only watched it because of Jared Leto, but I ended up liking the movie more than I thought I would. Because normally I wouldn't watch that kind of movie, but I will tell you that my 14-year-old self has broken up with Jared Leto since then because he's just gotten weird, and I don't like him anymore.
Well, let's say he is very man pretty, so we'll give him that.
He's very pretty, but yeah, not. I don't like his vibe now.
Yeah, he's weird.
Yeah.
I was like, he did really well in
American Psycho.
I want to say that, and then I was also thinking the second, what the heck is that called? Blade Runner.
I didn't see Blade Runner.
Because his weird vibe that he always gives off as like a human being, it fit perfectly because he is a.
But it doesn't matter. He is pretty to look at.
Yeah. Whoa.
Are you gonna say that Jared Leto is not pretty?
How dare you not mention urban legends?
Oh,
So we're talking about Scream Queens, not Jared Leto's.
Rebecca Gayheart much?
I don't know.
Danielle Harris was in that one too.
Oh, sure.
Listen, we keep coming back to her, and we just keep skimming over this poor woman. I'm gonna feel bad. She's gonna meet us at a convention, and just stab us all. Be like, you keep bringing me up, but nothing.
You didn't give me my credit. We'll just give a whole Danielle Harris.
Just going, I'm sorry, Danielle Harris.
We will give you your own episode in the future.
Because, like, honestly, she is a staple in all of horror history.
Well, since I
Absolutely.
tricked her into thinking I was her friend, maybe we can get her on.
Well, her Instagram is horror gal.
There you go.
Actually, it's her website, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd hope so.
Because, like, that's one woman that is always... You're saying Scream Queen. That's, like, honestly, the first thing that came to mind. It wasn't until I looked into it more, I started discovering more women that are actually Scream Queens. Like, obviously, we all know Jamie Curtis. Wow. Anyway, same difference. We're just going to go off with this.
I don't think the term was really dubbed until Scream came out, until Randy actually said it when they said, how comes Jamie Lee Curtis is in all these movies? And he goes, that's because she's the Scream Queen.
No, he didn't do that with his hands. He did this with his hands.
Get it
So
right.
Nev Campbell
Get it
did
right.
The prey hands, not the opening a book.
Yeah, but Nev Campbell was going through the movie there. So.
Terror Train, Prom Night, The Fog, Halloween, Halloween 2.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's at least when I first heard Scream Queen stuff, and then how she was originally dubbed it because she was just like so involved with so many at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But now we do look back on some things and say, well, you got to give credit to her mom for being,
Yeah.
such a high pivotal, character in Psycho.
Yeah,
Right.
And then
Janet
you-
Leigh.
And
So,
then like you just did with Barbara Steele, you got to go back and look at who brought what to the table and
Yeah.
go, well, if you say, Jamie Lee, you got to say Janet, and then you got to go back more or look forward and who qualifies for it, this and that. And for Danielle Harris to be a female child yet and defeat Michael Myers, basically, that's a hell of a feat.
Yeah.
And that's like the only kid that I think that's really ever defeated a horror character that I know of. I mean, technically, she didn't really defeat him,
Monster Squad.
Well,
I don't like this franchise at all. You did
Leprechaun?
mention it. Oh, you beat me to it, Leprechaun. As he shot the 4-leaf clover
Yeah.
with the slingshot in the damn leprechaun's mouth. I hate those movies.
and anyway,
They're
she brought up
fun.
Monster Squad. I'm just saying, I'm excited for that, too. Honestly, we are just skimming over a lot because, like you said, we got like let's say a 2-hour block. We can go on all day.
well, not only that, but we don't discuss who our favorites are yet.
No, we haven't.
we haven't.
I would say we did skim over
Mine's
Jamie
Nev.
Lee. We all
Nev
knew that.
Campbell's
Honestly, I
my
took bets.
favorite.
Like we talked about that on Wednesday. I'm like, you guys do a little bit of homework, find out who your favorite Scream Queen is. I go, we already know who Jen's is. I even was like, it's Nev. I'm like, I figured right off the bat that's who it was. And I was like, all right. So I wanted to hear your three because like I guessed that Collins was Danielle Harris because he like was in
one
love.
of them,
He's
yeah.
in love with this woman.
So it's the same why I love Jared Leto, who was also in American Psycho. Okay.
But I have a couple others, and I actually met the other one. And that would be Heather Langenkamp. I had a huge crush on her, especially because I was scared to death of the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And seeing her kick Freddy's ass, I was like, I love this woman. And I didn't realize that the movie came out in 1984 and the age difference or whatever. So when she looked so young, I could see her as like my big sister. But then when I saw her in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and I was just like, whoa, that's her now?
Yeah.
I just fell more in love with her and just how she just like kicked ass in that and Dream Warriors yet. And, well, Jeff knows, dude. It was like, I don't know if I'd say, I mean, I was nervous, but oh my God, I was like giddy little kid when I met her, because at one point she like got up and walked up the line because her line was like so crazy. And I said, like, could I get a hug? And, man, she, like, came in and bear hugged me, man.
That's awesome.
And then she said, I'm coming back for you. And I got, like, this, like, beat red.
That's how it was with Matthew Lillard. That's
I got, like, beat fucking red. Even Jeff's sister was like, are you blushing? And I'm like, no.
No.
And, like, it was, like, the stupidest fucking picture, too, that I ever got with anybody. I'm like...
That's how the person you're most excited to take your picture with, that's always the worst picture.
I mean, I had, like, I was, like, all geeky, like,
That's how I am in my Matthew Lillard pictures.
Bruce Campbell. I got that stupid grin.
But it was awesome because when I got up there, she said, "Here's my favorite guy," and I was like,
Like, can you say that again so I can record it?
Yeah, I know. I was all like, "Oh, this is like the best day ever."
I made a total geek out of myself with Jamie Kennedy. Like, thinking about it, like, I should be embarrassed. Because of where I was, you know, all the stars were walking past me. So that Friday night, I didn't know Matthew Lillard wasn't there yet. So I was on pure Matthew watch, like, all day. And my husband was like, well, who's this coming down here? And then I saw Jamie Kennedy. I literally geeked out to the point where if I didn't, he wouldn't have stopped. I was literally like waving my arms in the air, and I was like, Jamie,
Kermit arms,
to the point and I like yelled across everybody. And then when he did come back around like an hour later, and I was like, I still love you, and I came back and got another hug, and he picked up a shirt. So
that's awesome.
And he wears it, so you should follow him on Instagram. He hasn't worn it in a while, but for a while he was, and I was like,
if he listens to this episode, maybe he will.
Jamie, wear my shirt.
We wear Jenn Harding shirts too. By the way.
Thank you.
I
wore my Scream sweatshirt just because.
Yeah.
But we're just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Buy our shirts. They're nice.
Thank you.
And our hoodies.
And our hoodies.
You can come to the Monster Mania.
Jeff and I will be there.
Woohoo!
Yeah, this column
May
was late.
22nd and May 23rd.
22nd and the 23rd?
22nd and 23rd in Oaks. Yes. Yep.
Honestly, I was excited that they brought that up. They are actually doing something with it. Like, I went to the one at the drive-in last year, and it didn't have the same feel. Like, I got to meet Tom Savini again, which is cool. But it was small. And I'm like, when they said they had, 150 vendors?
Yeah.
I was excited because it's like, oh, wow, we're actually going to do something. But I didn't realize it was all outside.
Yeah, it's all outside.
So that'll actually be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Hoping for some nice weather.
And I'll be okay. Like, they have really, really good guests. So, but not like, you know, like before with the Scream, I didn't even want to be at my thing. I was like, I want to go here. I want to go here. I want to go here.
Well, that was also your first one, like all together, like working it and going to it, wasn't? Or was
No. I've been to them.
Okay.
I've been to like 3 before that.
Oh,
that was my first time vending, but it just happened to be the one where it had the most people I wanted to see.
That's pretty cool. Actually,
You're not going to keep me from the Scream panel. I was only in there for 15 minutes because I felt bad having my husband man my booth because that's my scene, not his. So he was out of his element, but I looked like I was in there by myself like a geek. I'm like, I couldn't stop smiling.
That's just funny.
Yeah, I'm like a little kid with that, seriously.
It's all right.
Yeah, we've all been there before.
I'm not even embarrassed by it.
My love to Heather Langenkamp, and I was like, oh.
But you know, that changes it too. Like, so I obviously I love Matthew Lillard, but like I love this series without being like, you know, like I said, I watched Suicide Squad because Jared Leto was in it. So I'm like, oh, I love Jared Leto, I'm gonna watch this. That's not why I love the Scream movies. Matthew Lillard's only in one. Like, I just love them because I love everything about them.
As of now, he's only in one.
I know. I'm so excited.
As of now.
I know. Well, they said in in one of them, he was supposed to come back. He was supposed to have been in prison and orchestrating something. Like, but that's when, like, Columbine happened. And they're like, we can't go that route.
Okay, yeah.
I would like that. That would make it worth it. The rest of the movie could be bad, and then I'll love it just because of that.
I've unfortunately never got a chance to meet any Scream Queens, so you have your story about Heather Langenkamp. Hopefully, I could possibly have
and
one
Danielle Harris.
and Danielle Harris at Monster Mania because Stacey Nielsen will be there from Halloween 3. So I would be happy to see her because I think she's awesome in that movie. I think she's awesome in general because she had a great television career. She was almost a replicant in Blade Runner, which would have been awesome. She almost was, but still really cool though. But yeah, doing all this history about finding out some of the early Scream Queens, I talked about Barbara Steele, and I thought maybe she was going to become my favorite because I did watch a lot of her movies, even growing up, and maybe I didn't grow up in the 50s and 60s and even the 70s to appreciate some of her work. But the one thing, as I kept doing more research about her, that one quote she did say about, I don't want to step out of another freaking coffin ever again. And then some other quotes I did find about kind of disowning the horror genre, that kind of saddened me. Where I'm like, I can't really
A lot of the people that are the most famous Scream Queens, they share that sentiment. If you listen to any of their stuff, they're kind of like, yeah, I did that. I got famous from doing that, but I prefer not to. Even Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Because there was one of her and Nev. There was a YouTube thing where they did like a Zoom call, and it was Nev talking to Jamie Lee Curtis about them being Scream Queens.
Yeah.
And they both were like...
It's a job.
Yeah. It's a job.
It's a job. It's a job.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Plus, her era, that was totally different. I mean, they were very much, like, prim and proper in Hollywood, and horror was, like, looked down upon.
Of course.
I mean, I probably wouldn't say it was until maybe the 60s, definitely the 70s, where horror was just, like a real art form where they said, yo, we could do so much more with horror. Mm-hmm. And then it was, like, really looked upon as a craft instead of a redheaded stepchild or something,
Yeah. I mean, and then, so I was like, because no one talks about you, Barbara Steele, and that was just, like I said, disheartening to me, so I was like, all these things you're saying is kind of putting me down right now, so I'm not sure if I can really feel that sentiment about her being one of my favorites, so, I never met this one before, but I want to, and if she's ever around for a HorrorCon, I'll be there. And it's one we already talked about a couple episodes ago, and that's Cassandra Peterson.
Yeah.
Because she is adamant in the Scream Queen realm. She has been attached to a holiday for many, many years. She loves doing it. She has a lot of dedicated and faithful fans to her following. And her television show, her movie presence, her comedic chops, all of that, it just brings a smile on my face. Like, you really do love this genre. You really do like being a part of this culture. And that cheers me up. So because of that, I have to say, Cassandra Peterson, you're my favorite. And even though I've never met you, I want to. It's just great that you're keeping this upbeat mentality throughout your entire career. And that you've kept it going for so long. So, yes, Jamie Lee Curtis and Barbara Steele, they both said, I had to step away because I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I don't want to be typecast anymore. Like I said, the quotes from Barbara Steele, Jamie Lee Curtis saying, no, you're too young. Don't see my movies that early. Bad parenting. That there was that thing that came out.
Oh, she got shit for that.
Oh, I know. She did. She did. And that was disheartening to hear. So, but yes, I do really, it was between Jamie Lee Curtis and Cassandra Peterson, but I got to choose her. I got to choose Cassandra Peterson overall. So she's my favorite.
Cool.
That's what Douglas Bradley did to my son when he signed the pop. He's like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Is there a PG version of our films?
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes long.
No, probably the beginning and end where it starts, it shows up, and they're moving in the house, and that's it.
Yeah. It's like, we got this new cancel culture version of Blazing Saddles. It's only 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Do you know that in Hellraiser, like, the one scene that bothers me, not them being ripped apart, but when he puts his arm, when it rubs that nail when they're moving the mattress. That part to me is worse than getting ripped apart.
It's like, a tetanus shot,
or like
man.
a skinless Frank. Yeah, that nail bothers me. Look, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. What's there even a nail that
just
size
Jeff
doing
off
there?
track.
Well, honestly, now you're bringing up Hellraiser. All I can think of is, like, we didn't mention, what's her name? The girl who plays Kirsty.
Ashley Lawrence?
Yeah,
Yep.
She is another one that did multiple movies and kind of just stepped away. She does a lot of art now.
Mm-hmm.
And then made me think of when he said movies that really have started off someone's career but were really fucked up was Felissa Rose in Sleepaway Camp.
Oh my god.
That woman...
She's so sweet.
Oh my gosh.
She's so nice.
Like, the most recent movie I saw her in was Victor Crowley, and the way she dies is fucking ridiculous. So I was like, those two, like, I feel like once again, I knew we were gonna miss a lot just because I said really quick.
There's so many.
Yeah, but those two, like, no one brought up. Like, well, you got one from like a really big franchise. We talked about the franchise I think earlier before we even started, and no one brought her up. And Felissa Rose is like, you get one of the most fucked up endings to a movie, and you're like, that should be a stable point in history. And now her job is the mangled dick expert on Last Drive-In. So, but brings me to who mine is. Like, so it took me a bit to realize, like, I was going to just go off with Danielle Harris and be like, that might, but if I think about it, like, I enjoy her movies, but it's like, as I got older, I started realizing it wasn't her that actually was my scream queen. It's actually Barbara Crampton. It wasn't.
I was gonna say, is it Barbara Crampton?
Yeah,
I had a feeling it was.
It wasn't actually her movies in the '80s that got me. It was the movies she's doing now. So, like with You're Next and Sacrifice, I actually want to see her new one. It's Jacob's Wife, where she plays a vampire, but it's a whole new take on the whole vampire genre. It wasn't until, like I said to Colin earlier, it wasn't her 80s movies that pulled me. It was the now movies. Because, like, she took a break because nobody wanted her. So, like, she did all those 80s movies, and they're like, oh, you're too old now. So she went and got her life together. She had kids, whatever, moved away. And then she came back. And that was one thing that kind of caught me off guard. Like, oh, shit, so you left for a while. Not because you wanted to, because they didn't want you. But now you're playing the mom figure.
Yeah. Well, another one that oh, sorry, did you want to keep going?
I was like, honest, that's it. Like, that's actually one person I do want to meet, but it's,
I wouldn't mind meeting her, too.
Is she in the Castle Freak remake?
No, she helped produce it, though.
She produced it, okay.
But, yeah, Castle Freak, like, honestly, her introduction to horror that most people know is Re-Animator in that really messed up scene.
Yeah. The scene.
Yeah.
And, like, I think we talked about From Beyond before, and, like, I just recently watched it because of Colin.
Sorry.
I was like, that is probably one of the most messed up movies you ever watched, where her and pretty much Jeffrey Combs switch roles, where she's the crazy scientist and he's the damsel in distress, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, no, those are good picks. Some honorable mentions, I feel like, even though she was only known for being in the one movie, is Adrian King from Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Another one that Jen actually brought up was Lisa Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's totally a scream queen.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's a bass because she starts out being like the goody-goody, and then she kicks everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, like...
Nunchucks do that. Like,
Yeah.
you get as soon as you give somebody nunchucks, they're going to kick your ass. They're going to be final girl because of that.
That's why they were banned in the UK.
Here's another one that, honestly, I just thought of was Fiona Dorf. Like, yeah, she's more recent to the horror realm, but her dad is a big staple in horror history.
Okay, yes.
And it's like, the fact that she is playing Chucky now after Cult.
That's right.
Because I was like sitting there watching when she does her dad's laugh. I'm like, holy fucking shit, that is her dad. I'm like, well, if you've heard it for 30 some years.
It's genetics.
Yeah.
She kind of looks like him, too.
She's good looking.
She's good looking, but she looks straight up like her dad.
I was like, and then talking about Fiona Dorf, you got to talk about Jennifer Tilly. And like I said, we're going to miss a lot. But
Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to name them all, especially with how we're just like...
I know.
There's literally so much to tell. I mean, we didn't even like give Sigourney Weaver a whole lot of time.
I know.
She's more of like hard badass, you know.
Oh my god. Get away from me, you bitch.
And then like she's been involved with the spoofs too, like Paul. She came back for that movie.
Yeah.
I have a scream fact when you just said that, because I was listening to Jamie Kennedy show, and when he says that in Scream 2, when he's like, I believe the line is "stay away from her, bitch," he was wrong.
Yeah.
He was wrong. They were right the first time.
That's what that always bothered me. Because wait a minute, if he's saying it, it has to be true.
Yeah,
but
no.
I know in my heart that's not right.
Yep.
And I'll bring up one last one. We forgot Adrian Barbeau.
Oh yes.
Yes.
All right, she has one of my favorite segments in Creepshow, The Crate. That woman plays such an utter bitch. I felt her kill was justified. I was like, that is like the stand-up performance for me in that entire fucking movie.
The voice she chose for that segment was on purpose. Just to try to make her so annoying. Oh, Henry, what would you do without me? That was intentional right from the start. Oh, so good. Swamp Thing, The Fog, as we've talked about before, and the stupid remake. No.
She voiced Catwoman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a dark Gotham City, you know.
And she was in Creepshow, the TV show.
Yeah.
She was in the first one.
Honestly, Barbara Crampton's in the new season. So it's kind of cool. They are bringing a lot of people into Creepshow. I'll have to show you guys this episode. They just aired the first episode, and half of it was Evil Dead, like, pretty much love.
Sigourney Weaver was in Cabin in the Woods, the tribute.
Oh my god,
That's
I forgot.
right.
Yeah, so like there's so much we could do.
Oh yeah.
It's everywhere.
But it was kind of cool.
Like I was just gonna say we forgot one big one. Cher.
What?
Dude,
What?
Peter Bogdanovich came to my school and said she was a nightmare to work with, so she's a horror story on herself.
Oh,
I kept thinking of like Moonlight. Like,
there's a
Moonstruck.
reason behind this. Like, she's a terror to work with, not because she's in a horror movie.
She wasn't in Witches of Eastwick. Oh, Susan Sarandon was in that.
Oh, you are right.
Michelle
You know
Pfeiffer.
what? I totally forgot about that. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, the only thing I remember sharing is Mask and Moonstruck,
Yeah,
and then I totally
Moonstruck.
forgot of Witches of East.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, it is, but I totally forget because I was
that with
so
Jack
young when
Nicholson?
that came out.
Yeah.
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 He's the devil.
Michelle
Yeah.
Pfeiffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I can't keep talking about. I can't talk about this all day, but I would love to just show everyone the love. Like, I remember when we first were talking about this idea. I forget, was it Colin, you or you, John, that sent that? I'm like pointing, so like we have a camera.
I think it was
I'm
me,
calling you
'cause-
John.
And it was funny because like it was all the final girls out of horror movies, and I'm sitting there like I kept saying it back, like I'm naming all of them, and then all of a
Like,
sudden,
why don't we just do a Scream Queen?
Yeah.
And
I was like-
because
'cause, like-
that's what it originally was. It was the Final Girls episode.
and I was like, I just started circling them like on my phone. It's like, all right, this, and there's only one person I could not figure it out. It drove me nuts until I found out who it was. It was the woman from Texas Chainsaw, the original. And I'm sitting there going, because I'm like naming them off, and Colin's like, I've never seen these movies. I'm like, then I'm like, who's the blonde? And I'm like circling them with a different color. I'm like, who is this? And then finally, like 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, here you go. But yeah, that was like the funniest thing. Like, that's when I realized I was a horror nerd fully, because just seeing a picture, like artwork of just multiple final girls, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, that was my staple in history of knowing that, yeah, I'm a nerd.
There's a book by Riley Sager called Final Girls. That one's really good too. I can't talk about it because right now it's like the book of the month. Like, it's their pick. I don't want to talk about it and give it away
I think Lexi
because
read
there's
that
so
one,
many
yeah.
people reading it now. But
It's a new
really-
book.
No, it's
it's not newer, but it's new for the subscription, the book of the month. It's
okay.
their book of the month right now.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, I remember
really
Lexi
good.
was reading that. She said it was really good.
it was really good.
Actually, I think she got it from Book of the Month, so they might have done it again.
I'm not a member of them.
Ah,
I just
okay.
know for I know for a fact that that's the pick.
Nice.
I don't know if it's like a boy type book. You might be better off with the demonologist. Remember, write down Andrew Piper, because if you look up the demonologist book, you're only gonna see the Lorraine and Ed Warren book,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's totally different.
I was reading that one, actually.
I was listening to that on
Oh,
I
YouTube
like to
before.
check that one out too.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. Like, I was telling Colin about it. Like, I was reading a lot of the Ed and Lorraine books, and I feel those are a little far-fetched. I don't know what is actually
Yeah,
real or what is actually dramatized. Because
And I've heard that, like,
I did
being
too.
like a horror fan, you grow up like being like, oh, they're awesome, and then as you get older, like you hear more about like, oh, they're a fraud, and like then you.
They said Ed really like elaborated in his books a lot. I think it was just mainly to sell, but like because I think like in a lot of ways the real demonology stuff isn't all that interesting.
Yeah.
So they
Not like the
elaborated-
Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
That
Right.
doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Loosely based
Yeah.
on a true story. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there is like some research into the exorcisms and the cleansings and all that stuff, but really, it's not all like the in-your-face stuff that you
Right.
see, you know,
Right.
like Amityville Horror, or like the chair spinning and shit
Right.
like
The
that.
DeFeo murders were real.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
the Lutz family was shit.
He just died recently, actually.
Yeah, really?
Hmm
Oh, jeez.
And
Not from a ghost.
Yeah. But I think like when it does come to some exorcisms, like some people are actually strapped down because it's hard to like they convulse and other things like that. But I don't know, like as far as levitating. and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
as I get older, then you like think about like I don't want to disillusion myself because you like
Like, I
you
wanna
grow up
believe
like you
this.
want to believe. I want to believe it because I do believe in like ghosts and that kind of stuff sometimes. But then also as a grown up and I'm listening to like stories or like listening to documentaries and that stuff like on YouTube. I listen to that like while I'm working, and then I'm like, most of these were like people had a mental illness or they had schizophrenia, and it's just misdiagnosed. They assume that they're possessed.
And that's kind of like
Yeah.
what Ed and Lorraine had said, that they usually say, like, especially when you get an exorcist, is you got to go through the certain steps to make sure that they are properly diagnosed. Is it mental illness? Do they have something that's an underlying health issue that they don't know?
But even back then, there's stuff that they wouldn't have
They
known
didn't
about
know.
that were
Yeah.
still valid conditions.
Exactly.
See, it's being a grown-up sucks.
The disillusion of what actual things are.
Exactly.
But seriously, mental illness is true horror. That shit is terrifying.
Oh my
Somebody
God,
who's
yeah.
suffering from something severe as that puts a chill down your spine more than any fucking jump scare in any horror movie.
And it is a fascinating, science and, medical research, I guess is the best way to say it. I mean, I've always been fascinated with mental health and psychology and all that other stuff. I mean, it's part of the reason how, like, the show got its name. Not just because of, like, coming up with the tagline and being inspired by, Batman Arkham Asylum and stuff like that. But, like, even when I was in college, I was studying psychology. And then in film, there was, like, psychology breakdown. And I was all about, like, wow, symbolisms and signs.
I'm the same way. That's why I love true crime documentaries, because you hear their backstory, and a lot of the times, like, the people did come up from horrible backgrounds on top of having a mental illness. But just like thinking about what goes through their mind, like, you have somebody that's married and has a family, like, how does that person separate the fact that they need to kill like 30 people, but they don't kill their wife?
Exactly.
Because
like
being married, you're gonna want to kill your spouse at one point, but they don't, because you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know.
That is a full schedule, though. You're like, all right, I got to kill 30 people. What is that, like,
30 people.
murder? Oh, we got to do lunch, and then
Gotta go to my son's baseball game.
I got to murder again.
I think it's because it's, like, too obvious that if you kill your wife and kid, it's like, yeah, but I got it like Dexter. It's like, I'll just kill this person. He seems like a waste.
I don't want to kill anyone I know personally. Just like some guy said hi, bye, dead.
Yeah. Also, it's interesting because I remember, like, giving somebody a total mindfuck when I was talking about Jason Voorhees, and I said, he's actually more of a victim, and they're like, what? Fuck out of here. And I said,
He was
all right.
bullied.
I said, listen to this.
Yep.
He was bullied, he was drowned. How would you feel if that was the case?
Pissed
And
off.
then they killed your mom on top of it.
And you saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she was batshit crazy, but they're like, what pushed her over the edge? Some asshole kid's bullying her kid that let him drown.
Chopped her mom's head off in those hairy knuckles.
I mean, one could argue, like, well, what was the mom doing? Why didn't she save him?
Well, she lost her mind, too, because of it. Because she was, working in the kitchen, from what the story was
she
told.
was there.
So she was there working, but there was supposed to be lifeguards watching her kid. Yeah, he was bullied. They should have took care of it. It shouldn't have gotten to them actually killing the kid by accident.
Yeah.
I wish we got a little more exploration of that properly, because it's just kind of hinted at. I don't know, like, if it came to the original or if it was like in the remake handling, but that's something I would have liked to have seen more clearly.
Kind of.
Like, did the kids, oh shit, we didn't mean for him to drown. It was an accident on our part. We took it too far.
That's what I always assumed. I always assumed the bullying was separate. They bullied him, but then they make it, they were off having sex, and then he drowned.
Yeah.
My only question ever, and is never going to be answered, I don't think, unless you, like, film nerds know the answer and I don't. Why does he die as a child, and when he comes back, he's like a grown-ass giant?
That's the $1 million question. I'm putting it out there that Elias and Pamela had a seance to bring him back, and through the seance, he actually was living through the mom, but then once the mom died, he wound up being reincarnated through the lake, and then when he came back as an adult
to take on the bullies. Okay, that makes sense.
Because that spirit
like
of his
symbolism
seance was just gone after she died.
I'll say that would explain the table with the candles and the head, because
there you go.
Yeah.
Seance.
I'm copywriting that by Colin Peters. All you got.
The filmmaker's like, yeah, that's exactly what we were going for at that time.
They gotta go through me now for that one. And Elias knows, and the reason why that Jason can't die is because there's still a part of him in Elias, and Elias actually is still alive.
Or he's just a demon. Who knows?
That's
He's a demon.
That's why he got the fuck away from Pamela, because he knew she was batshit crazy. And I was like, hey, you want to do it?
Do you have anything else, yes? Jen, you got anything coming up besides Monster Mania?
Nope, besides Monster Mania, that's all I have going on now. I might be having some new merch coming out, like jogger sweatpants, because I've actually been asked to do that. I wouldn't have thought of it. Yeah, just find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's just Jenn M. Harding Art, all one word, and anything new will come up on there. But right now, it's just getting ready for the Outdoor Monster Mania.
Yay.
And Big Cartel, right? Is that
And
still
Big
up?
Cartel, it is still up. I haven't added anything to it yet, but
Okay.
you can find Jenn M. Harding Art at Big Cartel.
And Hot Topic, too, right?
And Hot Topic, which I just had a new line of designs come out a month or so ago. And it's funny because they didn't tell me that they were coming out. I was actually doing a status update saying, make sure you look, because soon my new designs are going to come up. And then when I went on to copy the link, and I'm like, oh, they're there. How exciting. But
That's a nice thing to find. Nice
yeah,
surprise.
it is.
Yeah.
I was having a bad day too, so it kind of like, I was like, oh, wow, they're there. And they actually came out really good. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome.
Nice.
So that's really, if you can get a ticket to Monster Mania, May 23rd now, you can come out and see me. I still have a few stickers left. At this time, I don't have any more actual shirts or hoodies left, but I do have lots of artwork. And again, reminder, I don't do prints, so everything is original. So if I messed up and I sneezed, you can be like, that's the only one like that.
John, you anything good? Can I get some wood?
I feel like some of your wood. The
My
cedar
merch is
siding
very
I've-
exciting.
The cedar siding that I've stripped from your house.
Yeah.
You've just given it to me in like dump truckloads into my car. But no, it's been providing me a good bit of work lately. I do have one show coming up for Beyond the Palette at Mount Hope Estate and Winery, which is the grounds for the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. That will be May 8th, the day before Mother's Day, Saturday from 10 to 4. So I will be there with about 100 other vendors in the Lancaster, central Pennsylvania area, and I think I'm pretty much the only one of these vendors that actually sells wood. They're just like a various amount of variety of wood projects, whether it's furniture or whether it's just simple household decor. There are some people that dedicate their stands just to cutting boards, and that's their thing. They're very nice cutting boards, but I don't have the money to pay for those really nice checkered cutting boards that I know probably cost an arm and a leg. I know they cost an arm and a leg. I know they cost a lot of time to make them too, but so I deal with things small and big, and Jeff's wood's going to be there as well. You may not notice it, but it'll be there. I'll know it's there.
So
We've already joked about that.
So it's like with Jen, it's no print. It's a one-of-a-kind piece of art. You're getting a one-of-a-kind piece of art from you that's Jeff's wood.
Yes. Not all of it's Jeff's wood. Not all of it. If it was, I would rename my entire store.
Jeff's wood.
Jeff's wood.
How'd you come up with that name? Well,
It's my supplier right now.
My only supplier. No, I get my supply from many other people, not just Jeff.
I have the mind of a 6-year-old boy, so I'm really not commenting on any of this.
That's literally what
This
we're
is the
doing.
whole point of me doing that.
I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm a lady.
Jeff's wood. Jeff's stiff, hard
Oh my
wood.
God. Why you gotta be so awkward, bud?
But yes, May 8th, Mount Hope Estate and Winery, 10 to 4, May 8th on 2021 at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fairgrounds. It'll be fun. My first time there, too, doing a show. Yeah.
You got anything?
I don't really have anything. I just edit. I work rotating shifts, just growing my hair long, waiting for it to get long enough to donate. Hope
Pizza.
it grows fast.
Pizza, Batman, Turtles.
Pizza, Batman, Turtles, heavy metal. If my shoulder felt better, I'd go back to lifting heavy weights again. Yeah, other than that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the boring one too. So work, Thea.
Daughter.
Daughter.
See, being a grown-up is boring.
I know you guys got
Like,
all this
what's
exciting
going on?
stuff.
I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, I got 2 guns that I shoot out on a horse farm and just be like,
Oh my God.
little Punisher shirt. I was just like, yo, badass, bro. Just take one shot and you see the horses just run away.
I've actually been shooting.
Really?
My husband, yes, my husband started. He joined the gun club, so like we go on Sundays and have breakfast with everybody, and then we shoot. I'm a good shot, everybody.
Nice.
All
So,
right.
you know,
Breakfast and bullets.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
future reference, she's not going to stab anybody.
that's right.
Well, I got
That would
zombie
be
target.
my choice, because if I had to have a gun, I don't really feel the need to have one. Like, a knife is very versatile. You can cut fruit with it. You can cut meat with it.
It's a survival tool.
Stab
Stab somebody
somebody
in the jugular with it.
God.
Yeah. A gun just has one purpose. A knife has many.
Yeah, runs out of ammo.
Mhm.
Makes a loud bang.
So if I was a final girl, that would be my protection of choice.
Ooh, this is an interesting question.
I would
If you were
pistol
a
whip.
final girl, John, if you were a final girl, what would your weapon of choice be?
My weapon of choice. Be
Your hands.
Please don't.
A 5-foot-long splinter.
Ooh, there you go.
So a bit of wood.
A bit of wood.
I don't know how long that would last though. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's all breaking and you're dying anyway.
That's the thing
Not
about-
really, because you
Here.
can do a Negan and put like barbed
See,
wire
here's-
around
Ooh.
it.
see, I could do a Negan thing. There we go. Just in a nice ashwood bat wrapped in barbed wire. But here's the thing. I do make some cutting boards, and while it does serve a nice purpose of, you know, chopping vegetables up, using as a serving platter for seafood, spreads, and cheese and crackers,
This isn't a commercial now.
if push comes to shove, I will use that piece of Purple Heart and smack you over the face with it, and I guarantee you, you go down on the ground in 1 second. There's a philosophy about that where, okay, you have 2 points. You can use it for its real purpose, or you can use it for an alternative purpose, and you use it to survive the living shit out of a serious attack.
You know, in full transparency, for as badass as I think that I could be, that nobody knows about, and being like a horror and true crime like pro, and I know what to look for, I would probably, I don't know if I would be a final girl. Like, there's plenty of times where, like, I always say, like, I'm always on the lookout, because I pay attention to things around me all the time. I, like, pay attention to how people react to stuff. But there are several times where Shasta has texted me saying, I'm behind you. I have no idea. I've been followed for, like, so she makes me doubt my final girl status.
Oh, listen. I know I'm gonna be dead. There's no final person for me at all because I discovered this in the past 2 weeks. My daughter likes to hide under the bed. Cool. We discovered this only because I walk in here to find her. I can't find her. She reaches out, grabs my ankle, and roars. I scream in a high-pitched tone.
Why is this not recorded?
That probably is. Lexi probably has it on her phone just to...
Did she get a pet cemetery your ass with a scalpel?
No, actually, I had that like a month ago. My husband was like, "Can you bring the basket down to the basement to do laundry?" So I did that. Normally, he's already down there, so I expected to take the laundry basket all the way down to the basement. Well, I was like right by the door, and I didn't know he came up, so he started talking to me at the top of the steps. I had an actual horror movie scream where he couldn't stop laughing. He was like, "Was that real?" I was like, it was. My son came downstairs. He's like, "Why did you scream?" I'm like, "I had a heart attack." It was a full. To me, it sounded like it was in slow motion.
Oh my God.
It was a legit horror movie scream. And then I couldn't stop laughing. Like he was like, "Was that real?" He didn't believe me. I'm like, "That was 100% real. You scared the crap out of me."
I did have a horror scream not too long ago. There was the movie on Shudder, Hosts.
It's funnier when boys do it.
Yeah. No, there was one moment where, I shit you not, I screamed. I think it felt like 5 minutes, but it was only like a 2-second scream. I had to catch my damn breath, and that never happens to me, but I let out a fucking scream like a 10-year-old girl.
There was a part in The Strangers 2 that I was watching it by myself, and it just caught me off guard, so I did scream, and then after that I'm like, I love this movie. And then my husband came on, I'm like, this is scary. And then I started it over, and then that part came, but he was talking. He's like, that wasn't scary. I'm like, that's because you weren't paying attention. I was like, I was involved.
Damn it.
Or like The Haunting of Hill House. There's a scene that literally did make me gasp and scream out loud, and then I was so happy that it genuinely scared me. No, it wasn't a hand. It was like her face when she came up.
Well, I'm
like,
trying to.
I'm thinking of the show or the movie?
The show. Oh, wait, am I not thinking of Haunting of Hill House? What's the Netflix one?
The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, is there
Was
a
it?
movie called The Haunting of Hill House too?
Yeah, there was.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
The
Yeah, there
Haunting.
was.
Oh, okay.
The Haunting.
There's
Yeah.
the 1960s version, The Haunting.
Oh,
Then
wait,
there's a
now
really
I'm
bad remake.
now I'm
with
kind of
Jason.
thinking that it's.
It's the first season before Bly Manor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like where the sisters were driving, and then like That scared the crap. I gasped and I immediately started laughing. I was so happy that something scared me, like legit.
John, did you get scared of that, or did you hate it because it's a jump scare?
That was like the ultimate jump scare.
It's been a couple of years since I've seen the first season of Haunting of Hill House, but
that's the only part I remember.
I do like it more than Bly Manor, but I
didn't watch.
I did like it though.
Because I know you hate jump scares.
I like jump scares.
I hate. Look,
I fall for them every time.
Even the bad ones?
Yes.
I hate the dumb false jump scares, like a cat jumping out of a dumpster to try and scare the shit
those
out of
scare
you.
me too.
Or a friend trying to scare them with a flashlight to their face and popping around the corner.
You know what?
I hate dumb shit.
I'm gonna do that to you one night. Just get a flashlight.
That's dumb. That's not scary. That's not real horror.
It is when it happens to you.
When you're watching something that's supposed to be scary and it's accompanied by maybe a sound effect or a musical accompaniment or noise.
But it's supposed to take you off guard, which is the purpose of a jump scare. So if it's going to be a non-obvious one and it still makes you jump, then it's awesome.
Make good jump scares that are accompanied by something that's actually frightening.
No, but it's more fun if it's not accompanied by something. Like if you have a jump scare because a murderer jumped out at you and then killed you, oh, that made me jump. That was awesome. Then they died. But if it's something like where they jumped out and you think it's a killer and it's just like a little kid going, rawr, then it's funny. So then it's more fun, I think.
It's funny, but for me, it's
just like a haunted house. I am a wuss in haunted house. For as much as I love horror, like little Kelsey, when we go at Halloween time, we have our girls' night out. Like, I will pick her up. I hide behind her. And I'm like twice her size. I'm a wuss.
For me, it just feels like if there's enough of that, it just builds and builds to nothing. It just becomes tiresome. See, the goal, like I talked about the scream that I let out in the movie Host, bravo to you for scaring the shit out of me, because I'm going to remember that. I want to be scared when I watch some of these new horror movies. But when I watch like false jump scares left and right, when it's just one on top of the other, it becomes tiresome to the point where I might be falling asleep. Like, you're not doing your job, horror movies. You're not scary. You're not really... It's all fake. It's not real.
Yeah, if they're convoluted with nothing but jump scares, that's different.
Like a scary movie.
Yeah. I just remember you on that Blair Witch tangent. This movie doesn't have a single fucking jump scare, and I love it. And I'm like, but even if there was one that had just like a little bit of
the Blair Witch Project, not Blair Witch, not the
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
I went camping the night I saw that. Yeah, we went camping, and then we actually had to cut the night short, and not because we were scared of witches, but because there was like monsoon.
I was like, wink, wink.
How convenient.
I couldn't watch that movie in the theater, though. It actually made me sick.
Yeah, I remember getting sick watching that in the theater, too.
I think I mentioned this last time, too. There is a movie that like I actually really, really enjoyed, and I've yet to finish it because it was so shaky. It was The House That October Built.
That one.
I liked that a lot, but like I only got halfway through because I couldn't watch it anymore because of the handheld. It made me nauseous. So then I tried to start it at the middle, but then my mind already associated it with being nauseous. Okay. So I don't know if I liked the whole thing, but the first half I loved it, and I'm like, I want to watch it. Yeah. Maybe I take some Dramamine or something.
My alternative is to see the movie Haunt. I think that's a far better movie. It's not found footage or shaky cam, but it's kind
of like that. That one was good.
Haunt is really good. I would recommend that over it. But I understand because Cloverfield did the exact same thing for me. It was constant shaky cam, and it made me nauseous to the point where I actually threw up during one sitting of it.
And like Blair Witch, I was younger, and I still got nauseous, but I at least made it through. I learned to like quick focus on the back of the chair in the theater.
That was more controlled handheld cam as opposed to like when people
this one
running with the camera. That's bad.
Like I'm old now, and so like it's kind of like, you know, like when you're younger and you can roll down a grass hill and be fine and do it like 20 times in a row. If I went down like a little embankment, I would probably throw up everywhere. Can't do it now.
That's true.
I think you guys should really check out that movie, The Last Broadcast. It came out before the Blair Witch. That was before the Blair Witch Project. And it was basically the same thing. It was what's supposed to be the Blair Witch Project. I will admit, the ending was bad. I mean, it kind of lets you down, but it's like a guessing game where you thought, oh, well, you guys got the killer, and it's like, wait a minute, it's not. And it had the handheld footage with the talking head interviews and stuff. I was like, yo, that's actually pretty well done.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks definitely low budget, and like I said, it came out before Blair Witch, but I was like, yo, this is probably what the Blair Witch should have been before anything.
I was younger when that came out, and I did believe that it was real. And then when I saw them on like a talk show, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, you're supposed to be dead. No, I don't like the second. I don't like the Blair Witch 2
No
movie
one likes the second
at all.
one.
It's almost too disturbing for me, almost. And I could watch a gory movie eating spaghetti and be completely fine. But like the Blair Witch 2, I'm just like, it's like it was a little too far sometimes.
There's a big talk about that one. I love Joe Berlinger, the director.
Oh, I love everybody in it.
Yeah.
I can't watch it. Like, I'm always like, oh, it kind of makes me uncomfortable, and I'm not going to watch it.
He's a very talented documentary. I actually just watched Paradise Lost, all 3 parts of that series, and he did like a documentary about Metallica. But he made Blair Witch Project 2, Book of Shadows, and his idea was to have it be sarcastic. Basically, has perceived the first movie as just pure fiction, as just like it was a cash cow.
They started it that way.
They started that way, but the studio wanted a more traditional horror movie, but he wanted a more psychological approach, and they didn't clash. They cut him out, and they basically recut the entire film without him.
Yeah, like I just think they went too far in a lot of places where it just, instead of like, it wasn't even like the uncomfortable that it's still enjoyable to watch. I'm just like, this is stupid.
You could figure out from the very opening scene in Book of Shadows that the group is guilty of something.
Mm-hmm.
Where in his approach, you build to that, and you build to something being really weird out there in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there really was something out there, and they're discovering it. But
sad thing is about Book of Shadows is, like, when you hear the stories and you see like how some people edit the way like it was kind of supposed to be, it actually seems like it would be a much better movie than what it turned out to be. Like, even they said they wanted Frank Sinatra's Witchcraft to play at the very beginning to, like, lighten the mood. Mm-hmm. And I actually thought that worked a lot better than the Marilyn Manson theme, seeing all the woods and stuff. And you got the idea, the satire that, the movie was, like, this phenomenon and people were going into the woods looking for, like, the cabin and doing the Blair Witch tours and stuff. And I was like, that's a great idea. But then they just kind of, like, rehashed it into a traditional horror movie. And it just...
Oh, they did.
It was bad.
Yep, studio's decision to change Frank Sinatra to Marilyn Manson.
It's their fault.
It is.
It just changes your entire mindset.
And wasn't that another like Weinstein thing? Maybe not.
No, it was Artisan Entertainment.
That's true.
Artisan Entertainment. Because they just saw dollar signs. Because the Blair Witch Project made a shitload of money, $266 million worldwide, on a $60,000 budget. So they wanted to speed rush the entire thing, and it didn't do too well.
Well, neither did Blair Witch.
No, neither did Blair Witch.
But the hype that it got was because it was being hyped up as like a real lost footage film.
Yeah.
The other one was Full Out Hollywood. I don't like that one.
Jeff doesn't like any of them. Even the comic books.
There's a comic book too?
Yeah.
There's a video game too, Jeff.
I actually wasn't going to play the video game. I was looking for something crappy to play.
Actually, the video game I heard was very good.
Also bridges Critters and Blair Witch. Look it up.
I don't know what to think of you anymore.
Look it up.
So anybody else have anything to add to our Scream Queen episode?
I think we're way off of Scream Queens. We ended like a half hour ago.
You know, I think
we named all the women in horror.
Most of them. We should have done a count. Like, how many names did we actually bring up in this episode?
Yeah, like, you know, like how, what was it, A&E had 100 greatest horror movie moments. We should just do, like, the 100 greatest women in horror.
Should do a bracket.
Yeah. Oh, do, like, a tournament. Mm-hmm. Be like, oh, who's going to win?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? You can do that. You can do that on your story on Instagram, and then...
Ooh, yeah.
You can do that. Do what you did with Jeff's fuck count in Pet Cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Add a tally for how many names we mentioned.
I had to put a disclaimer in front of it.
Yeah, you did. What was it, 44 times?
46.
I feel like the number just keeps getting higher. Like you just discovered a couple more.
Well, I might put another one in there.
We should do that, though.
You just put subliminal fucks. Just after every... John Lithgow. Oh, there's another one. I just want to say, Heather Langenkamp. Nancy Thompson, yeah.
Nev Campbell.
Barbara Crampton.
Cassandra Peterson.
And with that being said, we'll sign off. This is Colin Peters.
John Rochetter.
Jeff Manfred.
Jenn Harding.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you all again. Thank you all once again for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Please, somebody help me.
Oh, yeah.